2, 1.
We are now live with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
So, hi everyone, my name is Josh, or jyash4, or whatever you want to go, and I'm going to be playing Let's Go Pikachu today. And I have two commentators with me, if you want to introduce yourselves.
Yes, hello, I'm Curvis. I'm a fellow runner of this game.
Hi, I'm Greta, and I've run this game kind of on and off, but I'm here, so hi.
Yeah, and we are ready to get started pretty much whenever you're ready on time, so just let me know.
I imagine we're good to go now.
Alright.
Don't have confirmation from Gambit, but he should be should be on the timer.
Alright, well, we'll just get going then. So we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright. So we are playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. It's a game that came out for the Switch about 3 years ago. Maybe it was 4. Sometime a while ago. And this game is essentially a remake of Pokemon Yellow. But it was brought to the Switch around the time Pokemon Go was super popular. So this was Game Freak's attempt to kind of merge the traditional Pokemon style with the Pokemon Go catching mechanic. And it gave us a completely new, unique kind of Pokemon game. And the category we're running today is not normal 80%. We're going to run Baton Pass instead. And Baton Pass, I named my rival 11. Here we go already.
Oh, that's cursed.
Yeah, Baton Pass is a category where we have to do every one of the major fights with a different Pokemon. So for the purposes of the category, the major fights are defined as the 8 gym leaders, and then your 4 Elite Four members, and then the champion, of course. So, unlike a lot of Pokemon runs, you're going to see a lot of variety in this run on what Pokemon we're using and how we're fighting things. We're not going to necessarily have one main. There's a few Pokemon that are used more than others, but we have to have a whole team of Pokemon, basically, that all kind of function and help us out.
Yeah, for anything that's not one of those 13 fights, you can use whatever you want.
Yeah, there's a long mid-game section where we don't fight any gym leaders, so we're going to use a couple additional Pokemon in that section as well. So we see a lot of Pokemon throughout this run, just in general.
Yeah, you probably see, what, like 16 different Pokemon or something in fights?
Yeah, I think usually it's around 16 or 17 different Pokemon, depending on what you decide to do. There's a couple things that change depending on what Pokemon you see in the wild. But yeah, it's a really interesting concept for routing for Pokemon.
Yeah,
So-
it was something that existed in... Someone had done Baton Pass runs in Pokemon Red and Blue. That was the only other place I've seen it before we routed it for this game. But I think it's a really fun concept. You gotta get pretty creative with coming up with strats for all the different fights.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first example of how the catching mechanic works in this game. So Pikachu is going to spawn in front of us here, the mascot of the game and our starter Pokemon. And we want to hold our Joy-Con in front of us and throw it at the Pikachu. And this is essentially how we're going to catch every single Pokemon we find throughout the game. Let's Go doesn't have wild battles like any of the other traditional Pokemon games. So you essentially have to time your throws perfectly. It's a lot like Pokemon Go where you have to hit the circle, but because the Switch obviously doesn't have a touchscreen, or Let's Go doesn't work with a touchscreen at least, you have to work with the Joy-Con motion controls instead. And you get basically an entirely different experience that isn't anything like Pokemon Go or anything like any of the original games.
Yeah, It's a very weird mix of the two.
Yeah, they tried to make it like Pokemon Go, I think, but it doesn't really work. Like, you can't throw curveballs.
Yeah.
It's
It's also simplified compared to normal Pokemon games. There's no held items, there's no abilities. A lot of stuff that's left out from a traditional modern Pokemon game.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold off on the Pikachu nickname for a few more minutes. I think we'll close the Pikachu nickname after Brock. So we'll give it a little bit. Yeah, we'll give it a little bit while. Yeah, so if you want to nickname Pikachu, I think Raichu is winning right now.
Yes, Raichu's in the lead with, I believe, $25. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, $25, and Hemingway has $3.
All right. Oh yeah, so if you want to nickname Pikachu, you have until Brock to get that in. Alright, so the start of the game is pretty straightforward. You get your starting Pokemon, you walk through the opening route. When we say this is a remake of Yellow, it really is a remake of Yellow. We fight Jesse and James, we don't have abilities, there's no held items. It's a very simplified Pokemon experience compared to a lot of the modern games. And this is another big change that did not exist, at least before this game, is that there are overworld Pokemon everywhere. So we're going to have to either dodge those or catch those, depending on what we want to do throughout the run. And occasionally they can... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing that needs to be brought up, other than the fact that we're going to use a lot of Pokemon in all the different fights, is you have to catch a lot of Pokemon just for the normal any % of this game. Because there's requirements to be able to fight all the gyms, and the requirement for the Fuchsia City gym is to have 50 unique Pokemon registered in your Pokedex as owned Pokemon. So, but that's why Baton Pass kind of works so well. You're already catching a lot of Pokemon anyways. It's just a matter of swapping them out for the different fights as an addition to any %.
Yeah, a lot of the early game routing and late game routing really in this game comes down to which Pokemon should you catch, when should you catch them, how do you catch them efficiently. And a lot of that is the same between Baton Pass and any %. Some of it is a bit different, just because there are a lot more things that we have to get later in the game in Baton Pass than you would in any %. So we have to balance that out.
For normal any %, you kind of have a lot of options. Doesn't really matter what you catch for the most part. You just got to make sure you catch the correct amount. But for Baton Pass, since it's routed in a way that we are using very specific Pokemon, the catch routing is much more rigid.
Yeah, and we have a plus defense Pikachu here, I think. Which isn't really... it doesn't mean a whole lot either way. Anyway, that was our first rival fight. Rival is kind of a pushover. We should mention that the starter Pikachu that you get, and the same for the starter Eevee in Let's Go Eevee, has boosted stats compared to a normal Eevee or Pikachu. And it also has perfect IVs. And I guess we should explain what IVs are as well. Actually, first, this is the one free pet you get. That's a fun feature. You could pet Pikachu. Yeah, so I guess IVs are a number from 0 to 31 that each Pokemon has in all of its different stats, and that basically determines how high or low the stat will be. Every Pokemon on their own has its base stats, and like I said, the starter Pikachu is way higher than any other Pikachu. But they also have these IVs that are random numbers that can kind of determine how good your Pokemon is. The starter Pikachu and the starter Eevee always have 31 in every single one of their IVs, so they're really buffed up. They're very strong Pokemon compared to what they normally would be.
They can't evolve in this game, the starter Eevee and Pikachu, but they're basically as strong as they would be if they were evolved.
Yep.
I think slightly weaker, but pretty close.
Yeah. It's a Pokemon that's really nice for early game and mid game, but the stats are still not as good as a like super high top tier Pokemon. So it's still not going to really be good enough for a late game. But it'll get us through a lot of the early game really nicely. Now, the rival, on the other hand, the rival does not get the starter Eevee, so he doesn't have boosted stats or anything. His Eevee's just kind of a low-down Eevee. Its IVs are, I don't remember exactly what they are, but they're not great. We should also talk really briefly about nature. So every Pokemon has one of 25 different natures, and these natures will give you a 10% boost in one of your 5 stats, so attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. And they'll give you a 10% drop in another one of the stats. Well, that's 20 of the natures. 5 of the natures are neutral. So for Pikachu in particular, we want it to be offensively strong. So the most important thing is that it doesn't have negative attack or negative special attack. Because we don't want a 10% drop on either of those. This Pikachu is plus defense and minus special attack, so special attack
Not
is
ideal.
Yeah, not great.
The good thing is with this game, since the starter is so good, you can get through with any nature. Definitely if you're doing a normal run, we typically would not continue a run that got minus special attack, but it's not a huge deal. It's just going to lose a bit of time.
Yeah, this isn't nearly as bad as having minus attack, I don't think. Minus attack affects almost every single fight in the middle of the game. Minus special attack affects a few of them, but it's usually not that big of a deal. I'm sure we'll be proven wrong here, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
So the Pokemon that have a glowing aura around them, that means they're either large, extra large, or small compared to a normal Pokemon, and all that means is you're going to get more experience for catching them. There's a lot of like multipliers for experience you get from catching wild Pokemon in this game.
Yeah, like a lot of the modern games, you get experience for catching Pokemon in this one, and that is the primary way we're going to be getting experience for a lot of this game.
Yeah, this game does a lot of stuff to encourage catching a lot of Pokemon, and one of them is just making the experience you get from that way higher than the experience you get from fights.
Alright, so a lot just happened right there. I picked up an item called a lure. That's another item that got transferred over from Pokemon Go. Lures will increase the spawn rate of all the Pokemon that show up, and it will also make them appear at the maximum level that they can be. So, right here, this Oddish was level 7. That would be the max level that it can appear in Viridian Forest. The next thing that I did is I used a Raspberry on the catch. That's another item that got transferred over from Pokemon Go. There we go. And Raspberry sort of increases the odds of a catch. It's not very good.
Debatable.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very good item. Ooh, I am off today. And the last thing that just happened here is Let's Go wanted to give you the chance to play with your friends. So I have 2 Joy-Cons here. They're actually 2 separate controllers. And anytime I want, I can call in the second player, and the second player will come falling in from the sky. And having 2 players is really nice for a few things. First of all, it makes your catch rate much higher. So we want Pokemon to get in the ball as quickly as possible. Breakouts are really slow. So that's nice. And like Curvis mentioned, there's a bunch of multipliers on all these catches. So one of the multipliers is that, or a couple of the multipliers are, you get a multiplier for using 2 controllers and using 2 balls to hit a Pokemon, or to catch a Pokemon. And you get a multiplier for catching a Pokemon on the first ball that you throw. So our goal to get as much experience as possible is to stack as many of these multipliers as possible. The downside to the second controller is fights with 2 controllers are generally slower than fights with 1 controller, unless you're saving a lot of turns. Okay, well, this is interesting. Is my Oddish still level 7? It is, right?
Should be, yeah.
Alright. Good start. Yeah, so normally what happens in Viridian Forest is we catch a Caterpie and we catch a Weedle, and that will give our Oddish enough experience, or we'll wait until Route 2 to catch an Oddish, because Oddishes on Route 2 are level 9. We want Oddish to be around or level 8 for the Brock fight, but it should be okay at level 7. Hopefully it is.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah.
So, since we're going to use Oddish for this first gym fight, that's going to mean Oddish is not only Oddish, but Oddish and Oddish's entire evolutionary line will be not allowed to be used for any other of the major fights.
Yep.
So no Gloom or Vileplume either.
Yeah, so we are locking Oddish out of every other big fight. This is what we would do in any percent for Let's Go Pika as well. We would just use Oddish on this fight. Oddish is the best way to get through Brock. Obviously, Pikachu's not great for that.
Yeah, Pikachu gets Double Kick, which is super effective against Brock's Pokemon, but it's still not nearly as good as an Absorb from Oddish.
Yeah, Oddish deals with this gym very nicely. Yeah, we talk about catching, we talk about how we have, or we talked earlier about how we have to catch 50 Pokemon. It's not that big of a deal that we didn't get Weedle here. Normally in any percent you really want to catch both Caterpie and Weedle because they evolve twice at low levels, which gives you 6 Pokemon towards your count of 50. In this category it's not quite as bad if you don't get it. Just because we have to catch a lot of Pokemon guaranteed anyway later on in the game. But it can potentially be an issue. Anyway, that was Brock. So I guess I'm gonna ask for the Pikachu nickname in just a couple minutes. I'm gonna nickname it on the next menu. So whenever you're ready with that, Helix.
Alright, the winner with $25 is in fact Raichu.
Alright. Yeah, I'll get to the nickname in a couple minutes. Before Pikachu gets off, or before Pikachu comes out in battle again at least.
A lot of Pokemon games you have to go to like a specific NPC to rename Pokemon, but this game just lets you do it wherever from the menu.
I honestly wish that was a feature in every game. That's so convenient.
It should be.
Sword and Shield got a lot better with it. Because at least you can nickname in Pokemon Centers, but it's still kind of a step below Let's Go. Anyway, we're
Suppose, yeah, like if I had a Pokemon in real life, why do I have to go somewhere to nickname it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not that important that you go to a specific location somewhere around the world. It was worse in the past where only one person could, in the entire country or region, could do it for you.
And you usually only had access to that like halfway through the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a low-level bug catcher, you're just never going to be able to re-nickname your Pokemon. Alright, there's a couple Pokemon that can appear here, but, well, Spearow is one of them. Spearow we don't want to catch right now. There's a couple Pokemon we could appear here that we would want to catch. I actually have to be somewhat careful here because my Pikachu is really low level.
Yeah, we might have to do some Route 4 catching.
Yeah, we're gonna skip the Magikarp for now. That is in Mount Moon. We would pick that up in any percent, but in this run it's a little bit better to catch Magikarp later. Alright. So we're gonna do a bit of menuing before this trainer. First of all, I practiced that menuing for doing the nicknaming. It's surprisingly hard to menu.
Raichu the Pikachu.
Yep. We're going to use another lure to get higher level Pokemon here, hopefully. Yeah, menuing in this game is weirdly difficult for a Pokemon game because you have to use the Joy-Cons for this game, and anyone who's used the Switch Joy-Cons knows that they're not the greatest things in the world. They're probably not the best controller Nintendo's ever come up with. And more...
since the game is played with only one Joy-Con, you have no access to a D-pad. It's all a control stick.
Yeah, so we're joystick menuing through this entire game.
I have opinions with a capital O about the Joy-Cons.
A lot of us do. You're not alone.
Yeah, I would love to play this game without a Joy-Con. I got really lucky that this was the first Pokemon game I did any speedruns of, so I kind of got used to menuing with a terrible controller. That wasn't very nice.
They honestly, for the purposes of this game, they're not the worst thing in the world, but it would be nice if we could use a pro controller.
Yeah. At least it's not the Pokeball controller.
Yeah.
That's what should have been the incentive to make you do that.
I don't even own a
Actually,
Pokeball.
I agree.
Well, you're gonna have to buy one.
The problem with that is it changes the game a lot because you're not able to use two controllers when you use the Pokeball Plus, which is pretty annoying. But
Where are all the Pokemon spawns?
I'm just waiting for the Chansey.
yep.
Oh, this is another thing. We bought Great Balls, so I should really be using them as much as possible. Did we talk about excellence yet?
I think we kind of glossed over it, but it's just another one of those multipliers. The circle that like constantly shrinks. There's like 4 different stages of it, and you want to throw the ball and hit the center of the circle when it's at its smallest point, and that gives you the best multiplier for experience, and also the best chance of actually catching the Pokemon.
Yeah, excellence is just generally a really important thing here. We're actually in a little bit of trouble here since I didn't get Weedle, and my catches weren't the best earlier. We need to be level 15 to fight Misty, just because that's the requirement to enter the gym. So Raichu right now is only level 10, which is a bit low. So I may need a little bit of help to get there.
At least you're not minus attack, so that if you have to do early Nugget Bridge, it's not going to be a complete nightmare.
Yeah. There's all the glowing Geodudes, now that I caught one. Okay, I'm gonna do something I would never do otherwise. I'm gonna catch this glowing Zubat just for a bit of extra experience.
Oh no.
Pain.
Zubat is one of those Pokemon where it's really hard to hit the circle onto because it moves around so much. So we're not going to actually get that much experience here. We're not getting any multipliers for excellence or anything. Luckily, though, this Zubat was supersized and gave more experience than normal.
Wow, that is the most experience I've ever seen from a Zubat, I think.
I think so. So there's another mechanic in this game with supersized Pokemon, where Pokemon can either be extra large or extra small. There's no indicator for this, it's just completely random, but they give you a lot more experience than any other Pokemon, really.
Yeah, you don't even know when you encounter the Pokemon. You can only tell after you catch it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that was pretty convenient.
Yeah, I really needed that experience desperately right there. Alright. Yeah, so if it went by really quickly, but if you looked on the Pokedex there, it said the Zubat was super small. Or extra small. This is still really not great in terms of catches. Okay, there we go. At least we got one other thing.
Mind if I toss in a donation?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
There is $30 here from LOZ Cards Fan 23. Hey folks, former Midwest Speed Fling runner here with Pennsylvania back in 2019. Great to see you back again. We're so close to $4,000. Let's keep those donations coming. Great to see you too. Thank you for the donation. And yes, I agree. We are super close to 4,000. Let's hit it during Pokemon.
Yeah, let's do it. Get as many donations in as you can. Alright, so the only other Pokemon that can spawn in Mount Moon are Clefairy, Clefable, Onix, and Chansey. We're really hoping for at least Clefairy here because my Pikachu is still only level 12. I can live without it, but more experience is generally better here.
Clefable, Chansey, and Onix are also all pretty rare.
Yeah. Clefable and Onix, I think, are both 1% encounters. And Chansey is the rare spawn here. Let's Go has this mechanic called rare spawns, which are... Here we go. Rare spawns are Pokemon that have less than a 1% chance to appear. But their chance gets really boosted if you get a catch chain. Oops. Or if you catch the same Pokemon over and over again. So essentially, if you caught like 11 Geodudes in a row, the rare spawn would be much more likely to show up. And that adds on to other bonuses too, like getting a catch chain gives you more chances of a shiny, it gives you better stats on your Pokemon. Unfortunately, none of that is really relevant for the speedrun, since we only want to catch each Pokemon once. We just want to get to our goal of 50 Pokedex entries, and that's it. But it's really nice casually.
Yeah, this is by far the easiest game to shiny hunt in because the catch chains make them more likely, and you could just sit there and watch Pokemon spawn in front of you. You don't gotta encounter them one by one.
I found a shiny in like the first 30 minutes of my casual playthrough.
Yeah, they are really, truly everywhere. I found one earlier today just setting up a save file for something else in this game.
Yeah, because it's not... You don't find out it's shiny when you encounter it, you find out it's shiny when it spawns.
Yeah,
For those who don't know.
It'll be really obvious if it shows up during the stream.
It was a shiny Geodude. Tempest.
Nice. Yeah, there's a
It was
few
actually here in Mount Moon, sorry.
Yeah, no, it happens all the time. Mount Moon, I feel like I see a lot of shinies in, just speedrunning this.
I think Geodude is the most common shiny I've seen. I think I've seen 3 of them.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Zubats as well, and a lot of Rattatas. Just things in those lines.
I actually don't think I've ever seen a shiny Rattata.
That is just truly incredible.
Yeah, because they spawn so many places.
I think Rattata's the most common Pokemon in the speedrun that we see.
I've seen Paris, Geodude, Pidgeotto, Rapidash, Dragonair. I was doing a catch 'em all run and I saw a shiny Dragonair and I didn't catch it and people got really mad at me.
Yeah, well, Dragonair is useless for a catch 'em all. So
Yeah, I didn't need it. So I let it despawn. People got really mad. I wasn't expecting it.
yeah, if you ever want to become a shiny hunter in Pokemon, just speedrun Let's Go. They're everywhere. You just see them all the time. Also, if anyone has preferences on Dome Fossil versus Helix Fossil, we have a very strong preference here.
It better be Helix. That's literally my tag.
It is.
Got some bad news for you.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, that is a good point, though. We have Helix here, so... If we have Helix here... Let's do it. This won't have any negative consequences later on down the road.
Oh no. Why?
I appreciate you.
I did specifically route this scenario, just in case I did accidentally pick up the Helix Fossil. We are supposed to pick up the Dome Fossil in this route. Kabutops is used for one of the fights. But I made...
really funny.
Yeah, no, I made sure that, just in case... Well, because I didn't want to find myself in a situation where I picked up the Helix Fossil and then had to just reset. Because there's no recovering from that mistake.
Yeah, you can use Amistar for the same fight. I think it's just a turn or two slower.
It's about 5 turns slower.
Oh, no.
Oops, that might be it.
It's much worse than you would think. You also have to pick up an extra item. It'll be fine.
I did not realize what I have done.
Don't worry, we've planned for this, or kind of. I've never actually tested this fight out, but someone else has, so...
Oh no.
I'm sure it'll be okay.
Hey, if there's any time to do it, it's in the marathon.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big debate in the community on how to do this fight properly. Whether you should use Oddish as your partner or Butterfree.
Oddish. Oddish is correct.
Definitely.
I'm still of the opinion that either one can be good depending on the scenario. That fight Oddish was fine in. I'm actually
So I'm not gonna spoil it, but you guys are gonna think it's even funnier when you find out which fight the Kabutops is supposed to be used for.
To be honest, I think the Kabutops one makes a lot of sense. Maybe. I'm gonna keep Oddish around here because I want the extra catch here, since I didn't get the bugs.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Alright, Sandshrew is a really nice bonus Pokemon to get. That's something else I should say. I don't know if either of you are tracking my Pokemon.
I am.
Catches? Okay, thank you, Greta.
Yeah, I
assumed you were.
realized like a few minutes in, I was like, I should probably do this.
Yeah, I am not keeping track at all. I am, like, I do have a mental note of how many Pokemon I've caught so far.
Mhm.
But since we have to get to 50 Pokemon to get into Koga's gym, normally what we would do is use a tracker, but I don't have it open right now. So I'm kind of relying on either someone telling me that I have 50 or just hoping I can count.
We'll be fine, maybe.
Yeah. It's not that big of a deal if you don't have 50 Pokemon, you just
No.
get kicked out of the gym and you go catch something else. But that's never happened to me before, so... I would prefer it doesn't happen now.
It's never happened to me before either, but I have caught more Pokemon than I needed for.
Yeah, that's more common, for some reason.
Weirdly, that's more common, it seems like.
It's never happened before is a great way to jinx yourself in a marathon. Be careful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It actually, it did happen once on an alt main run. I was doing a Hitmonchan run, and I forgot to pick up one of the gift Pokemon that you just get for free. It was the last. Yeah, it was the last one. So, we're good. I wonder if anyone can predict what Pokemon we're using for Misty's gym.
I wonder.
I guess one thing we should talk about really briefly is the difference between Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee for this category. The first two gyms are not that different, but they are kind of different. Oddish is a Pikachu exclusive spawn, as is, well, obviously, Pikachu. But, Let's Go Eevee instead gets Bellsprout, and then uses Eevee for this fight. Pikachu, or Oddish is a lot better than Bellsprout because Oddish is a special attacker and both of Brock's Pokemon have very high physical defense. This fight is pretty even between the two.
Slightly worse on Eevee, but
Yeah,
not much.
it's worse on Eevee, but somehow it's actually safer on Eevee. I forgot to deposit everything. I do also want to point out that this is a 10 and 16 range on the Zippy Zap to take out this Starmie. I didn't heal going into this fight. It's fine, we hit it. that was actually
Don't miss.
that was actually potentially really dangerous. Yeah, so we should talk about damage ranges too. There's a part of the damage calculation formula in Pokemon that rolls for a random number between 85 and 100, and then divides that by 100 to get a decimal, but it multiplies the damage you do by some number between 85 and 100, essentially. So sometimes you do more damage than other times. So when we say something like it was a 10 and 16 range to take out that Starmie, that means only 10 out of 16 times we're doing the amount of damage that we need to. Actually, I want to keep that. I forgot I caught Zubat, honestly. It's a good thing I saw that again. This is how you end up catching 51 Pokemon. You just forget that you caught something, you never mark it on your tracker. The other thing that we did there, we kind of moved past it, but in the Pokemon Center, we learned a move called Zippy Zap. Let's Go added these really, really strong moves to Pokemon, or to the starter Pikachu and the starter Eevee, that are just way too good for this point in the game. Zippy Zap is a 50 base power move, but it always rolls a critical hit, so it does 50% more damage than it normally would. And it also has +2 priority, which means it pretty much always goes first in battles. Priority is something like Quick Attack, where Quick Attack always goes first. Quick Attack has a +1 priority, so Zippy Zap actually outspeeds Quick Attack as well. So Pikachu has just this incredibly powerful move right here. Eevee in this Pokemon, or Eevee in that Pokemon Center, instead will learn 3 moves. It'll learn Buzzy Buzz, which is a 90 power electric move that always paralyzes. Sizzly Slide, which is a 90 power fire move, which always burns. Or Bouncy Bubble, which is a 90 power water move that has the absorb effect, so you gain back health when you use it. So Eevee gets a little bit more variety in moves. But Zippy Zap is pretty good for Pika as well.
They
We don't-
decided to throw Eevee a bone because it's such a bad Pokemon. It needs extra moves to make it decent.
Yeah, Pikachu does have a little bit higher offensive stats than Eevee does. That makes it slightly more inconsistent in the speedrun. It is arguably faster. It's pretty close between the two. There are separate leaderboards for Pikachu and Eevee, and both of them are kind of pushing down right now and looking for a 301. Both games have a 302 at this point. But pretty much everyone that runs one of the two games has a very strong opinion on which one's better and which one's more fun.
I own Eevee, so Eevee.
I've spent months grinding both of them, and after that, I could never go back to Eevee.
When the game first came out, the majority of the people running this game were very heavily in favor of Eevee over Pikachu, but I've slowly turned this community into a Pikachu community. I've been working very hard to make people see the light.
Oh, here we go. The Sandshrew has used Sand Attack on us twice. Okay, there we go. Yeah, when I came into the community, I only owned Pikachu, so I was converted by default, I guess. But after grinding both of them, I do find Pikachu more... It's more consistent, at least. And consistency...
Yeah, pretty much everyone just ran whatever game they had, whichever version they bought when it came out. And for some weird reason, I think like the majority of people who bought the game in general bought Pikachu version, but the speedrunners, when the game came out, all had Eevee for some reason. I don't know why. It's really weird.
There is one important thing here, that in that decision though, and when this game first came out, there was a huge debate on whether or not to allow two controllers to play through the game, or whether to just allow one controllers. And I think Eevee is quite a bit better if you only allow one controller.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was originally what we were doing. I wasn't actually part of the community during this. I came in when two controller was
It wasn't even,
already there.
I would say it wasn't even really a debate. It was kind of just, nobody did it. Like, nobody even thought about it. And then one day, people were like, hey, what if we use two controllers? It, like, makes stuff a lot better. And we were just like, yeah, okay, let's try that.
Yeah, I've done the one controller route of this game, like,
It's horrible.
later on. It's really bad. Because catches are less likely to go in, you're not getting as much experience, so you're lower level on everything. Some fights are just really bad with one controller, especially on Let's Go Pika.
And it's not a small difference between catching with one controller or two controllers. Like, a one controller run, you would regularly see 15 to 20 Pokemon break out of Pokeballs that you throw, like, on average. And with two controllers, it's like, on average, maybe 3 or 4 per run.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So it's a huge difference in the catch rates.
Alright, well, we've talked our way through Nugget Bridge. Nugget Bridge is one of the least kind of interesting parts of the early game. Every one of those fights is super easy.
The Sandshrew gave you a scare, though.
Sandshrew did give me a scare, yeah. But Sandshrew is the one fight that's kind of bad on Pika because it has Sand Attack.
Yeah, pretty much everything else on that bridge just dies in one hit.
Venonat's another one of those Pokemon where it's impossible to hit the circle because it's moving around so much. And here we go.
Oh no.
This is a Pokemon I don't usually catch, but once again, because I didn't get the bugs earlier, or because I didn't get Weedle earlier, I kind of would rather have Venonat, just for safety. Alright, so these two trainers right here, it looks like you should have to fight them, but you can actually just walk in between them a bit and just move on through. That's the first of the kind of trainer skips in this game. One really interesting mechanic is that every single trainer in this game has vision that goes on forever. Well, maybe not forever, but their vision is like a pixel wide or something. So you can dart between a lot of different trainers that you would normally have to fight just by slightly going below or above their vision.
Yeah, it looks like they all have two eyes, but really they all just have one eye in the middle of their forehead that is 1 pixel wide.
Yeah. And you may notice that some of the trainers are spinning around. Anytime a trainer is rotating at all, they close their eye. They can't see you just during that entire rotation animation. It's actually really funny. So you'll see things that look like really tight spinner passes or look like you walked right in front of someone, but they can't see you. But the moment they stop rotating, they can see perfectly fine.
The progression of spinners in Pokemon games is really funny because you start off with Gen 2 spinners that are just like spinning 40 times a second and there's no way to predict them. And then you get to Let's Go to, 15 years later or whatever, and they're all blind.
Mm-hmm.
And once they turn once, they can't turn for another 3 seconds or something.
They've gotten old.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is our friend Bill. Bill turned into a Nidorino somehow, so we had to save him. And he gave us some tickets to a boat party in return.
You're really oversimplifying this.
I mean, that's essentially what happens, isn't it?
I guess.
That's basically the story of the game. There's an extremely popular meme category in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee where called Ditch Bill, which is essentially to play through the game up until you get to Bill, and then he'll ask for your help, and then you leave the house, and that's it.
He stays in Nidorino forever.
Yep. That category came out of the fact that me and another runner, Joker Sleeps, have both had runs where we just leave the house, and then you get down to this cutscene, and this cutscene won't play unless you've both beaten the gym and saved Bill. So usually you don't notice that you've done something wrong until you get there and the cutscene doesn't play.
And to walk back to Bill's house to fix that takes a really long time, so it's
Walk
pretty
of
much a dead
shame.
run. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a bad walk of shame.
Yeah, I did it on a 80% run, so I just reset. Joker did it in a co-op run, so he had to go back and fix it.
Gotta walk back up the bridge, past all those trainers again.
Yeah, that category is taken off in popularity quite a bit. It's completely different than the normal run because you only want to catch one Pokemon to get you through Brock. And otherwise you're fighting all those fights with super low level Pokemon. So it's actually quite a bit different in routing. We just picked up an item called the Nana Berries. A lot of the Pokemon move around a lot as you're trying to catch them, so if you throw a Nanab at them... Also, this cutscene is interesting.
What? There was just something behind your ear.
It was a revive.
How did that fit back there?
Where did that come from? Yeah, it's a great question.
I don't know.
And in return for those revives, we invite our rival to the boat party as well.
Arrival 11.
Yep. Yeah, anyway, we picked up the Nana Berries, and that just stops the Pokemon from moving around. So sometimes we'll use it on Pokemon that move a lot to make them easier to catch. Because if you've ever tried to throw a Pokeball and try to hit an Excellent and hit the circle on one of these Pokemon that's moving around, it's very hard. Okay. So we're going to deposit Venonat really quick so it doesn't gain any more experience. We're going to use another lure to catch a bunch of stuff in Route 6. Right here, I'm going to go around the corner. There's a hidden rare candy up here, which boosts a Pokemon level by 1. We don't use this rare candy in the optimal version of the route, but it's nice to get it for safety. And I'm going to pick up this Growlithe.
Growlithe is the most important catch here. It's going to help Pikachu in a couple fights that otherwise struggle with.
Yeah, there are a few. Pikachu only has electric moves plus headbutt and double kick right now, so there are a few fights throughout the run that it really struggles with. And a lot of them are coming up right now, so Growlithe is really important to help us through those. For whatever reason in this game, level 17 Growlithe comes with Flamethrower. So this Growlithe is actually surprisingly powerful.
Yeah, what is that, a 90 power move or something?
Yeah. Alright, so Pidgeotto is moving here. This is an example of what the Nana Berry does. It just stops it in its tracks, essentially. So we can throw the ball and get an excellent reasonably easily. I say reasonably because this is the Switch motion controls, and sometimes it's hard to throw the ball properly to the left or to the right.
Most of the time they work very well, but every now and then they just do something that is completely not what you tried to tell them to do.
Yeah. I do want Psyduck right now, actually. Because we don't have parties. Psyduck is a Pokemon you would normally skip in any percent, but in Baton Pass, we would catch, or in any percent you usually catch it later so that it can evolve into a Golduck in one level. But in Baton Pass, we don't really have the party space later to do that, because we need to be evolving the things we're actually going to use, and we don't want to use Golduck on any fights.
Golduck is a really bad Pokemon.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about Golduck later.
We've learned that the hard way. The painful way.
Yeah, we have tried to route Golduck into this category on multiple fights. Golduck's not good. Alright. I heard that Jigglypuff. Where is it? There it is. So we're catching a lot of Pokemon in this route, actually. This is a pretty eventful Route 6. Sometimes you'll walk through here and just get nothing. But this one was pretty solid. Alright, so coming up here is something that's going to look really weird. I'm going to do it first and then explain it. Alright, there we go. That didn't look great, but those two trainers look like you should have to fight them. But there's actually a few pixels there in between them. And if you walk just right in the exact center of them, neither of them can see you. That one's probably the hardest trainer skip to pull off in the game. You have to pull it off both going up and down out of Vermilion City. But it's much harder going down than it is going up, because you're coming in from a weird angle. You don't really have a way to set it up very well. And neither of those trainers is particularly bad either. They each have one Pokemon, but doing an extra fight's still an extra like 30 or 40 seconds, so you don't want to fight them if you can avoid it.
So this game is like a weird alternate timeline compared to Yellow. Like in Yellow, you and your rival are like I don't know, the characters that are supposed to be you and your rival in Yellow are like weird grown-up versions of you and your rival in this game, and it's bizarre. So that's who that just was.
Alright, and this fight right here is the first example of using the second controller to get through a fight a little bit more easily. This is actually a relatively recent change in the Pikachu route. We figured out a while ago that having Growlithe to help on this fight, or even having something like Pidgeotto or Kadabra, makes this fight way simpler and makes it a very consistent 3-turn fight. In the past, it was like a 6-turn fight or so, or something like that. And you had to potentially use an X accuracy because this Pidgeotto has Sand Attack. But with the second controller, what we can do is set up an X attack on Pikachu, and then attack with Pikachu in the same turn. We didn't talk about X items earlier, did we?
Nope.
Alright. So X items are essentially an item that boosts your stats a little bit.
For one fight.
Yeah, for one fight. And only as long as the Pokemon is out. So, in most of the old games, the Pokemon... Oh, I use Leer instead of Flamethrower on this Oddish.
Classic.
And Growlithe's asleep. Well... We're gonna wake Growlithe up. We need Growlithe to be awake here. But, that Oddish is specifically one of the reasons why this fight is nice to do 2-controller, by the way, because Flamethrower takes it out in one hit. But yeah, so X items are an item that you can use instead of taking your turn with the Pokemon, or instead of using a move. And it will boost the stat stage of your Pokemon. So in this, or in old games, and if you played any game through Gen 6, it would boost your stat one stage. So say using the X attack like we did just right there, it would make your attack go up one stage, and it would do 50% more damage because of that. And then they would stack, so each one you would use after that would also increase your damage by another 50%. Up to 6 of them. So you could get up to a total of 400% damage, which is really nice, right? In Gen 7, they boosted X items. So they now raise your stats by 2 stages. So every time we use an X item, we're essentially boosting our Pokemon by... Or we're boosting our Pokemon's power by 100%. So using that one X attack means our Pikachu is doing twice as much damage with its physical attacks. So they're very, very strong in this game, and in every game past Gen 7.
I didn't know they made them even stronger. That's hilarious.
Yeah, they're really good now. There's something you almost never use casually because you just don't think about it, and it doesn't matter that much, but in a speedrun, X items are an extremely valuable way to make your Pokemon a little bit better.
You're also switching Pokemon out when you're playing casually a lot more often, so in speedruns you're usually just using one Pokemon for the whole fight, so you can boost its power at the start and it'll stay for the whole fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen my fair share of Pokemon speedruns. They're definitely really important.
Yeah, so we're going to be buying a lot of them right here. We're buying a bunch of X attacks, a bunch of X special attacks.
Yeah, like, they're really good in any Pokemon game if you're playing it this way, where you're using one Pokemon the whole time, pretty much, but they're just disgustingly good in this game.
I feel like I have less money than I normally do. I don't know what that means. Oh, it's because I used extra Pokeballs earlier. Never mind. Alright, so we're going to pass those 2 trainers one more time. And we're going to take the long walk back to Cerulean City. So we are coming up on the Nidoking or Nidoqueen catch. So if there's a nickname for that people want, this is kind of your last chance to get a donation. Otherwise, I'm going to let Greta name it.
Pressure.
There are nicknames for it.
Oh,
Flaffy
okay.
is in the lead with $20, and Bergie is at 2.
Oh, there we go.
Flaffy.
Flaffy's a good name.
It's an interesting choice for a Nidoking.
I think it was from Lord Fluffy, so I think it was.
That makes a lot of sense.
It might be for the Pokemon. It might also just be a play on Fluffy.
Hmm.
I like Flaffy as a Pokemon.
Me too.
Same.
I like that whole line, really. Alright, we're going to do a bit more menuing here. I don't want to be in the Pokemon menu. We're going to move Super Potions up to the front of the menu, and we're going to use a lure here. We're not quite near the grass yet, but we're just going to use a lure now to make sure that any Pokemon that spawns in the grass that we're eventually going to get to is going to be the maximum level. It's actually really important from here that we get these Pokemon, or the Pokemon from now on at maximum level, because most Pokemon from this point forward we want to evolve. And obviously that's a lot easier if they're higher level. We want Pokemon to evolve in one level so we don't have to keep them in the party very long, and also so they don't level up over and over again. And Pikachu is hitting level 21 here, which is when it learns a very nice move, Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is probably the best move that Pikachu gets throughout the game. It is a 90 power electric move. It's the classic Pikachu move, right?
So Growlithe is so good because the thing Pikachu struggles with most is these Oddiches and Glooms. Pikachu doesn't really have anything that can hurt a grass and poison type Pokemon too much.
Yeah, we used to pick up the Dig TM. We used to do an entire extra fight to get that before we were using Growlithe on this route.
It's either that or you have to headbutt it, which works okay.
Yeah, this fight it's also really important on because Camper Drew here leads with a Sandshrew. Pikachu does not like Sandshrew. It has a couple really annoying moves too. It has Sand Attack, which lowers our accuracy, and it has Dig, which hits Pikachu super effectively and also makes it hard for Pikachu to hit it back. But luckily Growlithe here deals with Sandshrew very nicely with Flamethrower.
Oddiches, Glooms, and ground type Pokemon. Those are the things that Pikachu struggles with the most.
Yeah, and we see a lot of those through the middle of this game. There is one other option for these few fights that we can use. We can use Kadabra instead of Growlithe. We didn't see an Abra earlier. It's a pretty rare spawn. Kadabra has the benefit that it always knocks out Gloom and Sandshrew, which Growlithe doesn't. But Kadabra also can die to that Raticate, which is kind of annoying. So it's a balance of whether you want them. Anyway, this is Route 10. We're going to catch a lot of Pokemon here, ideally.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out like that. How this route, or there are 5 Pokemon, well, there are 4 Pokemon in this category that you can catch here. You can catch Nidoran female, Nidoran male, Spearow, and Krabby. We ideally want to get all 4. Krabby's not that important in Baton Pass. Krabby is the worst of the 4 because it takes 4 levels to evolve, and the other 3 take 1 level to evolve. But alright, we got both Nidorans. That's good. That's kind of the ideal scenario here.
So there's Rattatas here too, but for Baton Pass specifically, he wants to catch one later because it'll be higher level and he can use it for one of the gym fights.
Yeah, Raticate is oddly useful later. It just has the perfect combination of moves that you need for one of the gym leaders or when you catch it. Alright, so this is a trick that we use to refresh the spawns. I'm going to use a Repel and then use a Lure immediately afterwards. The Repel causes all the Pokemon to disappear. And then the Lure immediately allows them to respawn at the highest level possible. So once you get all the catches in a particular, or all the spawns that are available in a particular area, like 4 Pokemon spawn there, that's as many as the game will actually let you get. You can use that trick really quickly to get new Pokemon to spawn.
Yeah, every route has a maximum number of wild spawns that can be there at a time. A lot of routes it's 4, sometimes it's 8 for the bigger routes.
Alright, so let me think really quickly. I got the Bug, I got Geodude, Clefairy, Paris, Sandshrew, Zubat. Then Jigglypuff, Psyduck,
Venonat.
Venonat. Nidoran will get me to 13, Spearow will get me to 15. Okay, so I need to get 6 extra Pokemon. I think. If I'm counting right. Oh, and I got Gloom also. That's not normal. Or that's not in my count. I need to get either 5 or 6 new Pokemon. Let's just do this right now. I'm going to wait just a little bit longer to see if a Krabby spawns, but if it doesn't, we'll just move on. So another thing that happens between Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is they each have fights where they use 2 controllers to get through it. And it's different between the 2 games. So if you play the 2 games back to back a lot, or just in general, occasionally you get really confused about which fights you're supposed to use 2 controllers on and which ones you're supposed to use 1 controller on. I was playing Eevee earlier today, and this is a 1 controller fight in Eevee. It's a 2 controller fight in Pikachu, so I need to bring the second player back out. Luckily, this game lets you pull out the second player anytime you want, so that can be either in wild encounters or in actual fights. It is slower to do it this way, but it's better than trying to suffer through this fight with 1 controller. This fight in particular isn't that bad, but just in general.
Really, the reason we would use 2 controllers for this fight is just so that Pikachu doesn't take damage.
Yeah. We do want to try to avoid heal menus as much as possible. They do take a decent amount of time. We are in the menu a lot in this game. But you still want to try to avoid healing as much as possible. There's a few places where healing can get really slow if you have to heal over and over again. Alright, and I'm gonna close the Nidoking incentive in about 2 minutes probably.
Noted.
So this is your last chance to get those in. Alright, this is Rock Tunnel. It says it's pitch black, but it's actually not that dark. We can see our way through this place fine. This game also has a really convenient feature, and we kind of glossed over it in Vermilion on the boat. But HMs are not part of this game. This is something that newer Pokemon games are doing, and finally. Instead, Pikachu learns these secret techniques. So we learned Chop Down, which is the equivalent of Cut, from the boat guy on the SS Anne. And
The boat guy, also known as the captain.
yeah, the captain, you know. the person that drives boats. I should have thrown the ball there. Yeah, so, I mean, no speedrun picks up Flash, right? Flash is called Light Up in this game. I learned that the other day.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. But in this game, it's particularly easy to see where you're going. It's not really obscured that much.
And Rhyhorn is a good catch because it's one of the Pokemon in this game that you can ride on. There's no bikes, but you can ride Pokemon instead, and it's faster than running.
Yeah, there are different tiers of ride Pokemon, and Rhyhorn is kind of the first one that you can get that's easy to get in on the way. So, when we get on in a minute, you'll see the notable difference in speed between walking and being on Rhyhorn. And then we're going to switch Rhyhorn for a faster Pokemon later on as well.
Yeah, for Kangaskhan.
Don't even say that. If I see Kangaskhan, I will catch it. Just for fun.
You have to.
Yeah.
Kangaskhan is really cute because Pikachu sits in the pouch with the Kangaskhan's baby.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cute things in this game. They went really heavy on the making it cute and nice looking. It's got a really nice art style. Alright, so we're going to deposit Nidorina right here. I'm going to get on the Rhyhorn. And then I guess I should name the Nidorino. Alright, let's close the Nidoking incentive.
Alright, and the winner is in fact Flaffy.
Alright.
With just one A.
Just one A, okay.
Otherwise it's spelled the same as the Pokemon.
Alright, got it. Alright, we used Growlithe a little bit earlier as Pikachu's friend. This is Pikachu's real good friend. Nidoking is very helpful for the middle of this game. And it's basically the reason Pikachu is as fast as it is. We're not going to learn Thrash. I know Thrash is a useful move in red, blue, yellow. Yeah, I can't change
we're
anything.
truly living up to the yellow remake name by using Nidoking in the speedrun.
Alright, anyway, here's Rhyhorn's speed. Rhyhorn moves pretty quickly compared to what we were doing before.
These Golbats love you today.
I know. I could catch a Golbat since I caught Zubat already.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, the other reason we generally try to avoid catching fully evolved Pokemon is because they're just harder to catch in general. They usually move around more, they have lower catch rates, they attack more. They're just a pain.
Oh, something that we didn't mention is that these Pokemon can run away from us too.
Oh yeah. That's always
Hopefully
fun.
we won't see that.
Yeah, I really hope that feature doesn't come into play.
It usually doesn't happen, but sometimes Pokemon are really impatient and they will just run away from you.
Alright, so this is a really barren rock tunnel. It's full of Golbats.
There's another one.
Mm-hmm. What was that? Okay, it's a Rhyhorn. Alright, so this hiker right here is the first first place where we can kind of see how useful Nidoking is for us. Nidoking has a move called Helping Hand. And what Helping Hand does is when you have two Pokemon out, it will boost its partner's move power by 50%. So that is really nice for Pikachu. Because there are times when Pikachu's not going to be quite strong enough, especially against some of the Pokemon we mentioned before that aren't very that Pikachu can't deal with very well. And the first one here is a Rhyhorn. Pikachu's only way to hit Rhyhorn is Double Kick, which isn't that strong of a move. But with Helping Hand, the Double Kick gets more powerful and it's strong enough to take out the Rhyhorn here. And we're going to use that a bunch throughout the next, 20 or 30 minutes. The other benefit to Nidoking is it's just a fairly strong attacker. We're going to be using its moves, or it to attack things fairly often as well. There's an Onix.
Catch it?
Should I?
No. I mean, what level are you? You might have to.
Baton Pass is always lower level than any percent, which is something we kind of deal with.
You still want to be 25 though, right?
Yeah, I really want to see a Machop or Cubone at some point. I forgot to, you know what? Forgot to X-Attack. Let's bring in some help. Yeah, so normally we'd use an X-Attack on this fight. And we would take out this Vulpix and then the Cadaver that's coming up in one hit, but if you don't X-Attack, you don't take them out, and Cadaver's actually fairly dangerous. Cadaver's a strong Pokemon. So I am just going to use Helping Hand again to get me out of a tough situation. And our Pikachu's back at full health now since we had a turn to heal. That's another nice thing. If things go really wrong, you can bring in the second controller to help you out in the middle of a fight.
2 Onixes.
Yeah.
It's a very weird rock tunnel.
Yeah, normally we would want to catch Machop and Cubone. Onix is really hard to hit because it is really tall, and that actually makes a huge difference on the catch because it's really hard to throw the ball high enough to hit its circle. So I'm going to do everything I can to try to get this Onix to get in the ball. Come on, Onix. There we go. Never lucky.
That wasn't even a 3-shake break.
Oh, here we go. We talked about Pokemon running away. So Onyx just played an animation while the circle was, or an attack animation while the circle was still going down. That means that it's about to run away. And you can see it do that right here. Wait.
Hey, there was another one right next to it. You want to try again?
It didn't run away either. I just look stupid now.
Wait, what the heck? It definitely should have.
Okay.
That's never happened before.
I mean, it should have run away.
That's incredible.
I'm
Hey,
not
we take those.
I'm not complaining, but alright, well, since we have Onyx in the party, we could show off some of the other ride Pokemon in this game. Rhyhorn is a good one.
Not so fast ride Pokemon.
Yeah. So Onyx is also a ride Pokemon, but it's hard to catch, so we generally avoid it, and when you see us actually riding it, you'll maybe see why we don't ride it. In a normal speedrun, at least. Onyx is really fun, though. Whoops. Alright, here we go. I'll take Grappler. Grappler is a nice Pokemon because it gives us a lot of experience. It does have a slightly higher chance than a lot of Pokemon to break out, which it shouldn't have said anything. I only have 4 Great Balls left. This is actually getting a bit sketchy.
Grab the free ones.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, yeah, Graveler gives us nice experience. Oh no, Golbat. The other thing that's really bad about Onyx is I can't see the spinner very well here. So this is why we don't ride Onyx. There's Machop. Machop is really nice to see. Alright, so now we're kind of on track with our catches. We were a little bit low because we weren't seeing things here, so Onyx does help us with that at least. Obviously it's not a good catch to get normally, but it's fun, so.
I'd like to mention real quick that we just opened 2 new incentives. $100 to watch cutscenes for Pepsi Man and Mort the Chicken, 100 each. That will be part of our Silly Block coming up. I suppose it's this morning. I suppose it is Saturday, technically, in most time zones.
Yeah. Yeah, those cutscenes are always very fun. So get the donations in for those. They're going to be a treat.
Yeah, those are back-to-back runs too, so if we get both of those, that is a lot of hilarious cutscenes.
Alright, this fight here is pretty straightforward. We just use Zippy Zap a few times and things go down. Like I said earlier, Baton Pass, occasionally your Pikachu is way lower level than it normally would be because you're not catching as much in the early game. But this run we've hit 26, that's pretty high. Alright, well. This is interesting. Oh, I missed completely on this circle. Alright, so this is Kangaskhan. This is a 1% spawn in Rock Tunnel. For the Catch 'em All category, this Pokemon is one of the first major reset points. Because it doesn't show up very often. But we got it here, so. More common than Cubone, at least, apparently. Kangaskhan is another one of those Pokemon that's pretty hard to catch. I've hit 2 excellence on it now, and it hasn't gotten in the ball yet. But we're gonna keep trying because I'm stubborn and I want to show off Kangaskhan. I missed the circle again. Come on, Kangaskhan, get in the ball. You can do it. This is my last Great Ball. That's fine, we'll just use Pokeballs. I'm committed now. Okay, so Kangaskhan once again is playing an animation while the circle is still there, so that means that it's about to run away.
Theoretically.
Mm-hmm. But once again, it's staying here, so I don't know how to interpret it.
Hacking.
Okay, here we go. There it goes. Kangaskhan's gone. Well, I just wasted all my...
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, at what point does this become spite?
Uh,
Trying to catch the Kangaskhan, but it left, so.
a long time ago.
As soon as he encountered it.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna stop riding Onyx once I get out of the
I
tower.
was gonna ask how much longer.
Yeah. Onyx, as far as I know, does move at walking speed. So this is basically equivalent to a run where you didn't find a Rhyhorn. It looks really slow, but it's actually not as slow as you think, because the camera zooms out. Alright, so we're going to fight our rival here again in Lavender Tower. This is a classic Pokemon experience. Once again here, we're going to use the 2 controllers. This is the first fight where Nidoking is really useful on its own as an attacker.
Once again, your rival's gonna have one of those pesky glooms.
Yep. That Gloom is going to be pesky basically from the moment we start. Alright, so Pikachu's going to try to take out this Pidgeotto while Nidoking boosts itself up. This Pikachu's not very good. I just used Helping Hand, that's okay. So, normally we'd use Thunderbolt in this fight in most circumstances, but we have minus special attack, so Thunderbolt's not going to kill the Pidgeotto a lot of the time. So I tried to use Zippy Zap, it didn't work. And Pidgeotto lowered our Nidoking's accuracy. So we'll see if Flappy here can actually hit its poison jabs. It's 1 so far, that's good.
Only needs to hit 2.
Yeah. Each of these is 75% to hit after one sand attack. Which isn't bad.
Thankfully, this Jolteon can't really do much.
Yeah, this Jolteon's going to use Quick Attack on us here. Or Thunder Shock.
Thundershock. Yeah, sometimes it uses Thundershock. There it is.
That makes a lot of sense against Pikachu and Nidoking. Oh, Onyx learns a move at level 25. I did not know that. Anyway, yeah, Nidoking is really nice there. Nidoking has Poison Jab, which is an 80 power physical poison move. So, Nidoking has a pretty high attack on its own. It's a higher attack than Pikachu is, even with the boosted starter stats. So Nidoking is technically our strongest attacker right now. It's really useful for a few of the fights. And that's really why we use it. It's good offensively and it has good support as well. And it's never going to die either because it's pretty bulky as well. It's just an all-around really nice Pokemon. There's a reason Red, Blue, Yellow speedruns use it. Alright, so let's get rid of Onyx and Graveler here. Sadly, we have to move on. I need to actually get myself on Rhyhorn too. And now that we've triggered that cutscene, we need to go get the Sylph Scope. So we are off to Rocket Hideout. I want to say I'm one Pokemon short of where I need to be right now, by the way. I'm not completely sure on that. Oh, this is something I almost forgot. We want Flaffy for this fight. This is surprisingly one of the more annoying fights in the game. This is Beauty Aubrey. She has a Clefairy. And Clefairy only uses Metronome. That's the only move it knows. So it can use any move in the game that Metronome can grab. But since Clefairy is a Fairy type now, Nidoking has Poison Jab and it's super effective. So we just take it out in one hit. That's something that we had to deal with for a long time when we were just using Pikachu through this section. And Eevee still has to deal with it today. So, Metronome is fun, but maybe not when you're facing it in a speedrun.
$2 from SSK, who says, I wonder what this button does.
Well, there you go. This is a very long tunnel. They really made that to scale. That's another change from the older games. In the original games, you could ride your bike through those tunnels. But we don't have a bike, and you're not allowed to ride your Pokemon through the tunnels, so... Alright, who wants to explain the girl we're going to right here?
You can pay her $10,000, and in exchange, she will make it so that every wild Pokemon you encounter for the rest of the day is a specific nature.
Yeah, so at the start of this run, I set my clock to 11:33 p.m. So it is rolled over to a new day, and there's no chance the day will roll over. So
Yeah, so every Pokemon for the rest of the run will be the nature that you just set it to, which is modest, right?
no, it's mild now.
Mild.
Yeah, modest is the normal one we would do because we're going to use Starmie, or 80% uses Starmie as its main, and we're going to use Starmie for a lot of the run as well. So modest gives you plus special attack and minus attack on all your catches, and Starmie only uses special attack, so we don't really need special attacks, so we don't need our physical attack to be good. This run, there's one very specific Pokemon we're going to catch later on that needs to have neutral attack, or else it doesn't work for the fight we're going to use it for. So instead we just buy minus defense and just make sure that we don't die in a few places with having lower defense. But yeah, we need both physical attacks and special attacks for this late game. Mild is also a fairly recent reroute too, because the Pokemon... Well, I won't spoil it yet, since I don't want to spoil what Pokemon are being used on what gym leader. But the Pokemon we're using is a really recent addition to the route. And it's the only Pokemon that uses physical attacks that actually needs to have neutral physical attack. Every other one worked with negative physical attack, but this one doesn't, so... This Hypno right here is the only fight where Nidoqueen is better than Nidoking.
Yeah,
Because...
Nidoqueen gets the move Crunch, and that's super effective against Hypno.
Yeah, so this is often a one-turn fight. Nidoqueen is a lot weaker than Nidoking and doesn't have a poison move, which makes it kind of worse, but this one fight Nidoqueen is better for. Nidoqueen is the alternate option to Nidoking for this mid-game section. It's about probably 30 to 40 seconds slower on average, I would guess.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but if you don't see a Nidoran male, you're not going to wait around for it either. So you just accept what you find. Alright, and for this section of the game, Nidoking is our... Or for at least these 5 or 6 fights, Nidoking is the primary attacking Pokemon we're going to use. That's why Nidoking got a nickname and none of the other Pokemon did. Nidoking gets just a little bit more usage throughout. It's essentially our like mid-game main Pokemon, alongside Pikachu.
I remember when Calathon did Catch 'em All, I think Pokemon Blue, they let the donators nickname every single Pokemon.
Oh wow.
So we had a Google Doc keeping track of like 100 Pokemon nicknames. It was wild.
Yeah, I didn't want to go too crazy with the nicknames since we use a lot of Pokemon in this run just by the nature of what Baton Pass is. But there's a few that are more important than others. So I tried to keep it mostly simple. Alright, here we're going to do a bit of menuing. I'm going to bring Clefairy back into the party. Our good old level 10 Clefairy. We're going to move Pikachu back to the front. Clefairy has a very important role to play, not in this fight, but in the fight after it. And yeah, we'll get that to that in a few minutes. But I promise Clefairy is very useful here. It's going to help out Pikachu tremendously. This Grimer is potentially annoying. Ooh. Well, it has Sludge, which can poison us, and did poison us. It also has Disable, which is also a very annoying move. And the other move it has that it didn't use is Minimize, which raises its evasion 2 stages. So the moment it uses Minimize once, each of our moves drops to a 60% accuracy against it. Usually that's a 2-shot, but we have minus special attack, so we didn't do enough damage with the Thunderbolt at the start. We're going to be using Thunderbolt as our primary move for the rest of the Pikachu section, so this minus special attack might actually make a difference on a couple of these fights. Luckily, nothing in early game is really run killing, even if Pikachu happens to die, so it won't be that big of a deal if something happens, and if Pikachu doesn't get a knockout that it usually would. Anyway, here we're learning good workplace lessons in standing on a spinny chair.
This has to get mentioned every single time.
Yeah,
It never gets less dangerous.
Yeah, don't stand on rolly chairs, everyone watching. It's dangerous. There's a desk right next to the vent that she could have stood on.
For you to push. You're just a small little kid.
Just have Pikachu jump to the vent. I think Pikachu could jump that far.
I don't know. Why can't we just, like, hold it and then it can jump from our arms instead?
That's a good question. You should ask Game Freak.
Okay, I will. I'll call them up. See what they say.
Yeah. Alright, there's another rare candy in this puzzle. We're just gonna pick it up for later. Alright, so we're coming up on the second of 4 Jesse and James fights right here. This is another thing they took straight out of Yellow. In Red, Blue, and Fire Red, Leaf Green, the 2 fights that we're going to get to right before Giovanni are just 2 Rocket Grunts. They have like Sandshrew and Ekans and Arbok and Sandslash, I think. In Pokemon Yellow, though, you fight Jesse and James here. And Jesse and James have predictably evolved their Pokemon. So we're working against things that are a little bit stronger than before. You're not dealing with just Coughing and Ekans anymore. So both Arbok and Weezing have pretty strong attacks. So that's where Clefairy here comes in.
Poison types are super effective against fairy types, and are going to target the Clefairy for that reason. It's going to die. It's our sacrifice to make sure Pikachu doesn't get hit.
Yep, and they're... Oh yeah, keep going.
If both the Arbok and Weezing target Pikachu, Pikachu will die. Almost certainly.
Yeah. It's very dangerous. So Clefairy plays a very important role in this run. One really neat thing about Clefairy is that Clefairy comes with a base happiness stat of 120. In this game, for whatever reason, Pokemon with high happiness have chances to get extra effects. And one of those extra effects that comes at a pretty low happiness value is that you can, or your Pokemon can randomly hang on and survive when it would otherwise be knocked out. So the other two Pokemon that you might use for this fight are Paris and Jigglypuff. Oops. And those Pokemon both have a base happiness of 70, which is a lot lower than 120. So they don't have that extra chance to survive. So Clefairy kind of has this extra benefit over the other two. Anyway, that was Jesse and James. Every single fight in this section of the game, or the next couple fights, we're also going to use Nidoking as kind of our support Pokemon. Nidoking is just generally very useful. For the rest of the run, it's going to be mostly a helping hand Pokemon. We're just going to be supporting our Pikachu, making it a little bit stronger. That's actually especially important on this next fight, because Pikachu has minus special attack in this run. So we're not going to get knockouts unless we use Helping Hand. So this is Archer. Archer is an admin that came from the Gen 2 games, Gold and Silver. But they have very kindly brought him into this game to help out Giovanni. So once again, we're going to boost up our special attack on Pikachu to make our Thunderbolts much stronger. I probably don't need to use this Super Potion on Nidoking, but we're going to play it really safe here. Just to kind of make sure that we get through the next couple fights without anything going, or feigning. Miraculously, this Golbat here does not always get knocked out by a +2 Thunderbolt if you're a negative special attack nature. So you actually need the Helping Hand to help out, even though it's super effective. I was shocked when I missed that.
It's a weirdly tanky Pokemon.
Yeah, for something that's just really bad in general. I still really like that every one of these trainers just lets you come at them with 2 Pokemon. There's no complaints, no fighting, no argument. They don't send out 2 Pokemon on their own. It's like the reverse anime. Because I remember in the old anime, Team Rocket would come at you, they'd both send out their Pokemon. And Ash would go at them with a Pikachu and just win. Here we get to be Team Rocket, basically. Alright, so this fight we really take advantage of having 2 Pokemon by setting up 2 X attacks in the first turn, and then setting up a third with Nidoking in the third turn. So this very quickly in 2 turns gets our Pikachu to +6 attack, which gives it 4 times its base power. And then once again we have a Rhyhorn here. So we have to double kick it, and even at +6 attack, we still need to use Helping Hand, or else the Rhyhorn doesn't go down.
+6 is the maximum you can boost your stats, so you need the Helping Hand to make it stronger than +6 attack.
Yeah, so that's as much as we can do. And that's the only way we can take out Rhyhorn in one turn with Pikachu.
Yeah, you need the absolute maximum power up on that double kick for it to work. This is where the level curve catches up to Pikachu. That Rhyhorn is like level 35, I think.
Yeah, and we're level 28 right now, I think. Somewhere around there. That's another thing you have to keep in mind when running Let's Go, is because the catch experience is so inconsistent, your Pokemon levels are going to be not this, or your Pokemon levels are always going to be different every time you do the run. And your stats are going to be different pretty much every time you do the run. So you have to really keep that in mind throughout the game. That's not really the same for most Pokemon games, because in most games you're fighting the same Pokemon every single run. This run we're fighting the same trainers, but our catches are so different that it makes a pretty big difference. We have level thresholds for a lot of these fights that we make sure to hit, but beyond that we don't really pay attention to it all that much. Alright, so now Pikachu is learning Sky Dash. This is the equivalent to the Fly HM. And Fly is activated really nicely here. You just click on the town map in the menu, and then click on the city you want to go to, and then you fly on this balloon scooter all the way off to your destination.
So what's the story behind the Baton Pass category name? Is there a story, or did someone just like decide to try it and it stuck?
I just got it from the Baton Pass run that people did in Gen 1 games. I don't like. I assume it's just kind of based on the Pokemon move called Baton Pass, which is a move that it like switches out to another Pokemon in your party, but keeps whatever stat buffs you have, I think.
Yep, that is.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a category called that in Gen 1, actually.
Yeah, that's where I got the idea from to do it in this game.
Cool.
Yeah,
The first time I saw it, I was definitely like, do you just get Baton Pass and that's it? I was like so confused.
Yeah.
But then I read the run
That's the
description, I was
run.
like, yeah. I read the run description and I was like, this actually sounds sick.
Alright, we can actually scoot underneath that trainer right there. She looks like she should be able to see you down that pathway. I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost. But you can actually just hug the wall and she still won't be able to see you, even though there's only really one tile distance in there. Yeah, Baton Pass to me is one of the coolest categories, or category extensions that Pokemon has. It's just a really interesting routing challenge, because you can't just rely on the best Pokemon in the game. You have to kind of go out of the comfort zone of that. You have to figure out what
Yeah, I
works.
absolutely agree.
So a lot of these Pokemon that we're going to be using for the rest of the gym fights, they're not really great if you're trying to use them for the whole game, but you just find the ones where they have a good matchup, so they're pretty good for that one fight.
Yeah, it lets you use some unique Pokemon too. We figure out what Pokemon really, really suck too, when we try to desperately route them into fights and it just doesn't work. Like our good friend Golduck.
Golduck, we learned Moltres isn't all that great despite being the legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the routing history and different Pokemon we've tried out on some of these fights when we get to them later on. That's another thing that's interesting about Let's Go, is because we don't need HMs and we don't need badges to use HMs in this game, you can hold off all the gym fights until really late. So we haven't fought a gym leader since Misty. It's been over an hour since then, I think. And we are coming up on gym leaders soon. We're about to get to the point of the game where we're going to be fighting a lot of different trainers. Let's Go speedruns in general are kind of split into two separate sections. You have kind of the catching section at the start where you're just trying to aggressively get to 50 Pokemon. And then you have the battling section where you go through and it's basically a boss rush.
Did you get the free Great Balls?
Yes, I did get the free Great Balls. Yeah, those are the only Great Balls I have right now, so. That's something we didn't mention earlier. In Let's Go, because they wanted to focus so much on the catching, every single trainer in the game gives you Pokeballs as a reward when you beat them, and some of them give you Great Balls and Ultra Balls, but none of the trainers between now and where I was before, or between when I ran out of Great Balls and now, have given me Great Balls, so. There was just a guy in Lavender Town, after you save the Cubone from Team Rocket, he gives you 20 Great Balls for free. So we just pick those up as a backup if we need them. Something else we didn't talk about earlier is there are times when you need to wait for Pokemon. Like, I just waited for Ghastly to spawn right there because we need it later. A lot of the time when you're doing Let's Go runs, you're just going to be trying to move through as quickly as possible and then hope the catches work out later, especially at a top level. In this run, in this category especially, we're going to need a lot of catches that are required to do certain fights, so there's going to be a little bit more waiting for proper spawns and using that repel lure trick from earlier to get new spawns to make sure that we get everything we need. Alright, so this Jesse James fight is essentially the same as the last one. Arbok attacked us, which is rare. Usually Weezing attacks, or Arbok attacks the Clefairy. But it doesn't matter because Weezing targeted Clefairy, so Pikachu didn't die. But otherwise, this Pikachu fight is is pretty straightforward. Because Weezing didn't attack us, we can go for Helping Hand here to try to get a more powerful Thunderbolt. We have +- special attack, so we need a crit to take out this Weezing, and we didn't get it, but you get a chance to go for that Helping Hand range in a normal run when you have a Pikachu with normal special attack, at least. So Raichu is hitting level 30 here. This is where Raichu learns Thunder. Sadly, we don't need Thunder. Or, probably for the best, we don't need Thunder. Thunder is not a very consistent speedrun move. Anyway, we have saved Mr. Fuji here. Mr. Fuji gives us a very important item, the Poke Flute. This is the item that kind of opens up the rest of Kanto. Before, if you tried to go too far in any direction out on other routes, you would run into Snorlax, and you wouldn't be able to wake it up. So now we can wake up Snorlax. And sadly, our time with Raichu and Flaffy has come to an end. We're going to reach a very large bump in levels right here. Actually, I just noticed something. Did I not lure for that Ghastly?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Sure.
Now that I think about it, I'm not sure though.
Okay, so since I didn't lure for Ghastly, it's going to be a little bit lower level than it normally is. I'm going to go pick up this extra rare candy. Just to make sure that we're okay later. And then I'm going to fly back to Celadon because this is really far out of the way. Yeah, so you have to be really on top of using your lures. Because if you catch Pokemon at lower levels than normal, they're a lot weaker and a lot more susceptible to dying later. So we're just going to be extra careful here. make sure I can boost Ghastly's level a bit if I need to. No wonder nothing was spawning in tower.
That's just normal, even if you have the
Yeah,
lore.
that's why we didn't even notice.
Yeah, Ghastly is the first required catch that's kind of annoying in Baton Pass because it doesn't... There's a lot of runs where Ghastly just doesn't spawn. You'll walk through the entire tower and just see nothing, even with a lure up. So increased spawns or not, sometimes you don't see everything you need.
Oh, I've seen a shiny Snorlax too. That's one of the other ones.
That's right, you have.
It wasn't when I was doing a run. I was just like testing something and I had to pass the Snorlax and so I countered it and it was shiny and then I tried to catch it and it ran away from me.
Nice.
Sad stories.
That's really sad.
Yeah, okay, so this Ghastly is level 30. That's 3 levels lower than it's supposed to be. That's okay. I'll give it an extra rare candy. We'll keep it in the party for longer to try to level it up some.
Thankfully, the Ghastly doesn't really need to be a high level, I don't think, for the fight you use it on.
Yeah, Ghastly's pretty safe. Alright, we're coming up on another, like, not obvious trainer skip here. If we dismount Rhyhorn by walking too close to that Pokeball, we can hug the fence, and that trainer won't be able to see us. That trainer has vision that moves past the fence. Oh, this was overkill. No, I've already caught a Psyduck. There's an Eevee. Just sitting there in the grass.
So I have a question. Did you catch a Pidgeotto earlier? Am I remembering that correctly?
He did, yes.
Oh, well, that's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was on Route 6.
Yeah. There's a backup plan for that. That's okay. We could use a Flareon.
Yeah, you could.
You could, yeah.
I think that would put you... Yeah, I think that would put you at your 50 as well.
No, I can't bring myself to catch Eevee.
Just get the Silver Raz, it's fine.
It's so far away still. I do have a backup plan for that. For what to do when I catch Pidgeotto early. Yeah, so this is Pokemon Road. We're going to be catching a lot of Pokemon here, kind of doing cleanup work. Start to fill out our team for later on. From this point forward, all the Pokemon we encounter are going to be a lot higher level than they were before. So our Pikachu was level 30, and I think Nidoking was also at the end of Pokemon Tower. Every Pokemon we're catching here on this route is level 39, so it's a pretty huge jump. So that's why pretty much every Pokemon we're using for gyms is in this late game section. And we're going to be doing a ton of catching to just kind of get everything sorted out here. So we've caught Ponyta, we've caught Pidgey, we're catching Doduo here.
In the meantime, I threw in $6 a few minutes ago saying, I want Bergie, and then went to name Starmie Bergie. But Rice89 fires back with $2 and put that toward Ultraman. So Ultraman is winning by $1. I may have accidentally started a bid war between potentially myself and the Japanese restream.
Alright, here we go. So we have probably about 15 minutes until I have to name Starmie. We are coming up to it soon.
Okay.
But you've still got time in. I don't need this. This is not an item that's important in this. Yeah, one thing, that item that I just skipped there and almost picked up is an elixir. That's an item that restores the PP on your moves, so you can use them more once you run out. That's really important in any percent for Starmie, to make sure that it has enough Psychics to get through the game. But because we're switching Pokemon so often here, we don't actually need it. Did I get everything I need here? Yeah, I did.
Oh, look,
You know,
another Eevee.
There's another Eevee, alright.
You have to.
We're gonna have to do it. We're gonna go against my better judgment.
It's destiny.
Alright, we are going to switch to Ultra Balls, and I'm going to use the Silver Raspberry I just picked up. Silver Razzes, unlike normal Raspberries, Silver Razzes make catches way better. So hopefully this Eevee gets in the ball nicely. It usually does. And, of course, I've been proven wrong immediately, but...
You keep saying that.
There's another patch of Silver Razzes you can pick up, so it's not such a big deal.
Yeah, Eevee is usually an annoying catch, but once you have the Silver Raspberries, it's not that big of a deal. For whatever reason, they work way better than normal Raspberries. Alright, so I'm just going to have to use Flareon now. That's fine.
So I think you're gonna wind up at 51 Pokemon. So you could skip Porygon or something.
We'll see what happens. Alright, so there's more Silver Razzes in this patch. I'm still riding Rhyhorn, I just realized that. Alright, Eevee's coming in, Rhyhorn's leaving. I'm gonna keep Haunter just a little bit longer. We're gonna use one rare candy here on Ponyta. We want to use Ponyta immediately, because Rapidash is gonna be our new ride Pokemon. And Rapidash is way faster than Rhyhorn. It's a tier far above it in Pokemon ride speed. So this is going to make a huge difference in our speed walking through the game. And that's actually why we'll use a rare candy on Rapidash instead of just letting it evolve naturally. It's such a big improvement in your movement speed that it's worth burning a rare candy on. So we're going to show it right here. Look at it go. I should have done that the moment I caught Ponyta. I kind of forgot. Alright, so this is a nice little cutscene. Pikachu's going to go play in the Safari Zone. Sadly, the Safari Zone was removed in Let's Go. They replaced it with the Go Park, which is the way that the game connects to Pokemon Go. You can transfer Pokemon in. This is how you get things like Meltan and Melmetal. It's not useful for the speedrun. We're not allowed to use it for the speedrun. Obviously, you can't transfer in Pokemon that are super high level and strong. But it would likely be slow to do it anyway. Go Park's not a super fast process. Anyway, we're going to talk to this guy over here, and he's going to give us Sea Skim. This is the equivalent to Surf. It's just a surfboard. He's not actually giving us any powers, he's just giving us that surfboard that he's holding right next to him. But nonetheless, it's useful. Raichu will surface around for a while now.
Also, shout out to Lapras, my favorite Pokemon.
Lapras is a good choice for favorites.
Thank you.
So I forgot to use my lure, so I'm going to do that really quickly. This is just a night of forgetting to use lures. Anyway, this is Route 21. We're going to surf to Cinnabar Island now, and this is where we're going to clean up the rest of our catches. So, we've got a few things here in the water that we want. One very annoying thing about water catches in this game is that you can't use the second controller on these catches. So they're quite a bit harder than the two controller catches. They're much less likely to get into, so we may see a couple breakouts here. But, okay, Tentacool got it in, that's nice.
Tentacle is the most annoying water catch that you have to do.
I don't know if I agree with that. There's one particular catch here that's not in the normal 80% route.
I think Magikarp is worse.
I think Magikarp is pretty bad.
Really?
Yeah. People are gonna
It's a
laugh at
great
me for that.
circle, though.
Yeah, but do you know how hard it is to hit the circle? Because Magikarp just flops around all over the place. It's very
I used to catch Magikarp a lot in any percent runs, and I don't think it's nearly as bad as Tentacle.
Well, I just disagree so much with that. Alright, so here's our Staryu. I guess we'll close the incentive. We'll close the incentive when I leave Pokemon Mansion for Staryu.
Sounds good to me.
So that should be about 5 to 7 minutes from now.
If you feel strongly about Burgie or Ultraman or something else, now is your last chance.
Yep.
We all know whose side I'm on.
Alright, here's Magikarp. Let's prove, let's either prove me wrong or prove Kerberos wrong. Alright, that was my fault. That's not Magikarp's fault. Me missing a ball doesn't make Magikarp difficult. Okay, it got in. I'm wrong. Tentacle also got in the first fall, so I don't think this really proves anything.
Like, Magikarp visually flops around a lot, but its circle doesn't actually move that much compared to other Pokemon that move around a lot.
Oh, I should have kept that lure up, actually. This island over here has a very conveniently placed water stone, which is what we need to evolve Staryu. So, we're going to pick that up really quickly. And then we're going to head to Pokemon Mansion. That was a very nice Route 21. We got all the catches pretty reasonably quickly. And I need to get a lure back up, actually. Well, no, I don't. Oh, yes, I do, actually. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing, apparently. We don't need to catch Grimer with a lure, but I do need to catch Rattata with a lure, so... So I'm going to use that lure as soon as we get out of here. I'm also going to pick up one extra rare candy, just to make sure that Haunter is a good level. I want to be really safe with that. I think it should be fine, but we're going to deposit it in a minute here, so it's not going to gain any more levels.
$2 for me. He round, he fun, he cute in a bun. It's Burgie. It's Burgie again.
Does that put
See
Burgie
if they
back?
fire back.
Alright. I'm going to move a few Pokemon around. We're going to move Staryu into the party. Let's move Grimer in. We're going to use our 2 candies on Staryu right now. This has very bad special attack. We are not going to learn Hydro Pump right now. Hydro Pump is a move that we would use in any percent. But because Staryu isn't used on as many fights throughout the game, we don't really need Hydro Pump here. And Staryu's going to be lower level than it is in any percent, because we're not going to dump all our candies into it, since we need them for other Pokemon. So all the Hydro Pump ranges that we have later on in the game are something that's not really possible to hit in Baton Pass. So we just skip Hydro Pump altogether. But we are going to power Starmie up a little bit here with Scald. Generally, I would wait to teach Scald until later on, and just move through with Bubble Beam. But Scald is a pretty decent increase in power over Bubble Beam. I still didn't use the lore, did I? Yeah, Bubble Beam has 65 base power and Scald has 80 base power. There's a Ditto. Ditto is a 1% spawn on this floor.
Oh, wow.
I will not be catching it because Ditto is a very difficult catch. Anyway, let's just quickly get our rat. I'm using Pokeballs. That's okay. I only have 2 Pokeballs left. Luckily, this is the last catch in the entire game, so we don't have to worry about the Pokeball count too much. There we go. But still...
We had an anonymous $2 donation. I don't know if this is Rice89 or not, but it does appear to be another person from the Japanese restream. I fired back with another $2.
Oh, here we go. Well, the bid war's getting intense now.
We'll see.
Okay. This is one thing that you have to get used to in Let's Go speedruns, is sometimes a Pokemon will spawn just directly on top of you. There's not really anything you can do about that when it happens. That one I probably could have avoided, but... Occasionally they'll just spawn right in your face and you'll just hit it immediately. It's just something you get used to. You expect to hit a few Pokemon every run. Okay, just like that. Alright. So this is a neat little trick here. If we move the second player in front of this scientist, he won't walk up to us, so we can position our player onto the path. So normally we'll talk to trainers so they don't have to move, because trainers walk really slowly in this game. But that's a neat little trick. Ooh, this isn't the right second Pokemon. Okay.
Should be fine.
Yeah, this should be okay. So Electrode will Thunderbolt our Starmie here. Normally we put a flying Pokemon in the second slot, and Electrode will target it instead and knock it out. Starmie is okay. Or Rapidash is okay to have here. Thunderbolt went into Starmie, which is a little bit dangerous, because we can be paralyzed, they can crit us and knock us out, but we ended up fine.
And you get a free heal after this fight anyway, so it's not a big deal that he took damage.
Yeah. Alright, gonna pick up this Firestone for our Eevee. Since we're going all in on Flareon now. Alright, so we're just gonna quickly move through the rest of Mansion. So we've probably got about a minute left on that Staryu name incentive.
Whoa.
Alright,
It
so
hasn't moved since I donated last, but we'll see.
alright. So we're just gonna move a couple switches around. Walk past this spinner. This spinner is particularly bad if you run into him. He has an Electabuzz, which Starmie does not like at all. But here we go. So we have the secret key here. We're going to escape rope out. I'm going to evolve Tentacool first, and then I'm going to get the Staryu name.
And Flareon.
And Flare. Oh yeah, I need to evolve Flareon, you're right. Okay, so we've got 2 things to evolve here. This Tentacool has really high special attack, by the way. So that's actually going to be really useful for this next fight. Well, it'll save us a turn, most likely. Alright, so here's Tentacool. We're going to get our Flareon. What do you think the best way to use Flareon is? Should I teach it Fire Blast, maybe?
Does it learn Fire Blast?
It's Blaine's TM. That's my current
yeah.
plan.
I guess so.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to handle it. We've never used...
Ember's gonna cut it.
Yeah, Flareon learns Ember when it evolves, which is not a great move. So Alright, anyway, let's close the Starmie name now.
Alright, it does appear that Bergy has won, just barely.
Alright, so how should I spell that?
B-U-R-G-Y.
B-U-R-G-Y. Alright, there we
I threw
go.
in one last $2 at the very end. One last push for Bergy, I said.
Well, you made it work.
It was it's a Frankerface's emote that was in Calathon's chat during their marathon last weekend, and it has made its way here.
Oh, that's good. So we have Bergy now. Alright, we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup work here on our catches. We picked up that Helix fossil a long time ago. I forgot that it was the Helix.
Oh, I did too.
So we're gonna get our Ammonite here.
Yay!
We have Helix here. We can't not use the Helix fossil.
I appreciate it.
This is just a completely unusual run. We're using different Pokemon for Erica. We're using a different Pokemon than normal for Agatha. That one's for safety. But we're using a different Pokemon for Lance. There's just a lot of differences here.
Also, what Bergy is it's Kirby in like hamburger buns.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's a very cute emote.
All right, so we caught Grimer earlier. We're not actually going to use Grimer or Muck. We want to trade Grimer for the Alolan version. So every single Alolan version of Pokemon that were... Well, alright, Sun and Moon gave us regional variants of some of the Pokemon from Gen 1. So every single one of those regional variants is available as an in-game trade in Let's Go. So we don't actually want Grimer, we want the Alolan version. The Alolan version is a Poison Dark type instead of just a Poison type, and that ends up being a huge benefit to us. So we're going to use this Alolan Grimer instead. Alolan Grimer, one thing that's to note about these trade Pokemon is their nature is not determined by the nature that you set from the Fortune Teller earlier in the game. So this Grimer will not be mild nature necessarily. It could be any nature. So it doesn't necessarily have plus special attack and minus defense. The other thing about this Alolan Grimer is that it always has a perfect IV in HP and attack. And every trade Pokemon has 2 stats where it's perfect in. This doesn't mean that the nature can't be a negative, but the stat itself is going to be as high as it can be within its nature. Alola Muck is a lot better Pokemon than normal Muck, so it's much better to use it that way. Anyway, we're finally fighting our 3rd gym leader. We're going up
I guess
against...
they should hire Blaine to be the new permanent host of Jeopardy.
That is true. Blaine is a wonderful quiz host. Blaine is so excited about it, too. He's very passionate. He's got all the dolls made of himself. They're all rockets, too. Whoops. Anyway, yeah, we're finally fighting the 3rd gym leader, and the Pokemon we're using for Blaine is Tentacruel, which I think is a pretty reasonable option. Matches up fairly well. We're going to use 1x special attack and 1x speed, so that'll make sure we're faster than everything. And ideally, Surf will take everything out. This Tentacruel has really high special attack. When I used the Rare Candy on it, I saw 66, which is way higher than I was expecting. So usually we'd use 2x special attacks in this fight to get to ×3 attack, or special attack, but ×2 should be enough here. Ninetales might be a range, it might not die, but it probably will. But if it doesn't, I mean, Blaine's a fire type gym leader. What's Blaine gonna do to us? Tentacool is also good because Tentacool comes with Surf as its first move, which is a really strong water move, so it works really well against Blaine. Alright, so come on, go down, Ninetales. Well. Worked out fine, it missed Fire Blast.
More screen time for my second favorite Pokemon. Sure.
Oh, there you go.
That's favorite.
Here, I have an Alolan Ninetales right here. It's not a normal Ninetales, but it's still here with me.
That's actually even better.
Yeah, I really like
I
Alolan.
agree.
I love Alolan Ninetales.
I saw that earlier, actually, and was a little bit jealous.
Yeah, I usually have it down here, but I figured I'd put it in the background. Anyway, Dodo is just evolving right now. It's nothing that important. So this is the part of the run where we kind of go into boss rush mode. We've completed pretty much all of our catches. We should have 50 Pokemon once everything evolves. So now we're going through everything and just fighting it. Blaine is the third gym leader just by convenience alone. We're already over here to pick up our super high level Pokemon. Like any percent gets Staryu through this route, and it's level 43 when you pick it up. So since we're already on this island, we just fight Blaine right now. And this route is largely the same way. So now we're going to go back and fight a bunch of the... Oh, it's an Ammonite. I was so confused for a second there. Yeah, now we're going to go fight a bunch of gym leaders. So we skipped Lieutenant Surge earlier. Surge in the original games lets you use Fly, which is obviously really useful for getting around the map quickly. But since we don't need the badge to use Fly, we can fight Surge whenever we want. So we're going to use this very high level, whatever Pokemon this is, Rapidash, instead. Rapidash is a Pokemon we basically had to include in the routing, because you're using it as your ride Pokemon anyway, and it's level 41 at this point, I think, usually. So there's no reason not to use it somewhere. Ooh, I found the first can. That's lucky. I hit an optional. Okay, well. Yeah, Rocker Bailey could see you from very far away. He has 2 Voltorbs.
Sounds like you've hit this optional before.
He could see so far.
Thankfully, they're half your level.
Yeah. So, hey, Flareon grew to level 40.
Wow.
Now it'll be big and strong. Yeah, luckily these Voltorbs both go down to Stomp. Anyway, I was about to make a joke about the cans. In Let's Go, for some reason, those 2 cans are always the correct ones, so you just always solve the puzzle correctly.
Can you imagine if after you fought that guy, you talked to the sailor?
Don't even say that. I don't know what that sailor has. I've never talked to the sailor before. Yeah, so something we didn't talk about is on the Joy-Con, basically everything functions as an A button, except for B, which functions as a B button. Also, I am going to use Fire Blast on this fight. Fire Blast has 85 accuracy.
As you should.
Yeah, it does wipe out every Pokemon here. It is safer to not use Fire Blast. You can use an X-Attack and stomp the Voltorb and the Raichu, but that's not fun. We're not going to miss Fire Blasts. The only Pokemon it really matters if you miss on is Voltorb, because it has Light Screen, which doubles the entire, or the special defense of every one of Surge's Pokemon. Which means Fire Blast doesn't take out the Raichu anymore. Or the Voltorb, I think. But we didn't miss Fire Blast, so none of that matters. And since I like Fire Blast so much, we're going to teach it to Flareon. Like I said, I've never done this fight before. Usually what we'll do is we'll use Pidgeotto or Pidgeot on this fight. And the thing I was going to do, because I caught Pidgeotto earlier, is I do need to switch Flareon to the front. I was gonna use Pidgey on the Erica fight, which also works, actually. It's okay. But Flareon's better. Flareon is cooler.
You also could have probably used Arcanine.
Yeah, I could have
Wow.
used Arcanine. Arcanine's
Maybe
low
not.
level.
Yeah.
Since I'm in the TM menu, I'm also just going to teach Thunderbolt to star me right now. Thunderbolt's a really nice move, just for coverage. Electric is always a good type. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna head down here and take on Erica now. Erica's entire gym. Well, all right. Let's talk about the cute Pokemon first. The requirement to get into Erica's gym is to show the first trainer a cute Pokemon in your party. So what should we go with here? I should have gone with Ammonite. I like Grimer, though. I think Grimer's pretty cute.
It smells good.
It does smell good.
Oh my god.
That's what she says.
I know.
Well, Grimer does have an ability called Stench. But there's no abilities in this game, so... I think it checks out. Anyway, yeah, this gym is a maze. There are trainers that are looking at you, but like many of the trainers in this game, their vision is non-existent. So you just hug the corners and none of the trainers can see you. It was very well designed. So
They may be out of naming incentives, but there are more bid wars open. I can talk about those a bit later. You would sound like you're about to talk.
oh yeah, I'm just gonna use an X special attack and then Fire Blast 3 times, ideally. I've never done this fight with Flareon, so I don't know if it'll work, but you can go ahead.
Alright, we have just opened the Uno bid wars. Uno for the Game Boy Color. We have theme choice. Your choices are Groovy, Space, Standard, and Wild West. And also language. Dutch, English, French, German, Italian, or Spanish. Shout out to our French and German restreams, Baguette_restream and Jermench. Also shout out to our Japanese restream, Japanese_restream. And Roller Coaster Tycoon still has the track color bid war open. Phew.
Yeah, there you go. I think for Uno, I feel like I would like Groovy the most. I feel like that fits Uno.
Honestly, I'm expecting it to win just because it's called Groovy.
Yeah.
I feel like people will get a kick out of it.
I mean, that's the one my mind immediately went to, so. Oh, we missed the Fire Blast. We almost went perfect on Fire Blast in this run. Alright, Flareon worked out nicely. So that's a good backup if you ever don't see a Pidgey or Pidgeotto in the future. I might even have to write that into the notes. Okay, so we're leaving Erica's gym. We're now back to kind of a more normal amount of badges. We've got 5. We do have to say goodbye to Flareon for now. We're going to bring Rattata in instead. And we're just going to candy the Rattata immediately. This is a pretty fast Rattata, so we don't have to worry about its speed all that much. Raticate is a Pokemon that has good speed, but it's not great, so sometimes it underspeeds a Pokemon that's very important for later. This Raticate we got pretty lucky on. This Raticate is good. Speed is really the only stat that matters for it, too. Everything else is pretty non-existent. And actually, we don't want Raticate in front right now. We want to move Bergie back to the front, and I still don't know how to move my Pokemon around. We want Dodrio in slot 2, not Ammonite. And then we're going to fly back to Celadon. So we use Starmie and Any% for because Starmie matches up really, really well against pretty much the entire endgame. However, there is one Pokemon that we run into in the route that Starmie is not able to deal with. Because Water, Electric, and Psychic coverage is really good. That hits basically everything. And even things like grass types, like we fight Erica, but Starmie has Psychic, so all of Erica's grass types don't deal very well with Psychic. 2 of them are weak to it, and then Tangela's special defense is really bad. So it doesn't really matter. And it's neutral anyway. But there was one grass type in Gen 1 that is a Psychic type as well, and that is Executor. And we're going to run into an Executor right here against Blue. So that's what Dodrio is for. That conversation went on really long because Blue, took like a lot longer to get to Blue than I expected to. I didn't realize it took like 2 minutes to walk to him. Anyway, Blue is an Executor, so we're going to use Dodrio to help us out with this fight. Dodrio very conveniently comes with the move Drill Peck, which is a useful flying move. This actually would have been another really good place to use Flareon again. I don't know if Flareon's Fire Blast actually knocks out Executor, but it has to, right?
Probably.
Anyway, yeah, so with two trainers, Blue is pretty easy. That Executor is really annoying if you don't have 2 controllers, because, or if you just try to use Starmie, because it has Mega Drain, which just hits Starmie really hard. Executor's special attack stat is very high. And it also has Light Screen, which gives, ×2 special defense to Blue's entire team. Anyway, we are coming up on the hardest fight in the game. Or maybe not the hardest one, but the most inconsistent.
The most annoying.
Yeah, this is the worst fight in the game.
You have to do a double fight with your rival as your partner, so you just have no control over what your rival is doing.
Yep. And your rival has all these nice Pokemon on his team, like Pidgeot and Raichu and Vileplume. And he sends out his level 36 Cubone. Cubone evolves at level 28, by the way, so he's a little slow on that one. This Cubone is not our friend. It's not helpful. It's not useful. We got lucky there that Electrode went for Self-Destruct, but Muck did go for Protect, which isn't that great. We would prefer to be able to take out the Muck with Psychic turn 1. Electrode can also go for Thunderbolt, which is really bad, because then we have to heal with Starmie, and we're risking getting paralyzed.
Yeah, Cubone's only useful move is Boomerang, which is not really that strong, and it also is inaccurate. But then on top of that, it likes to just use Focus Energy, which is basically completely useless.
Yep. Okay, so this situation is not great. Starmie has 42 HP left. I am a minus defense nature, which in any percent runs I'll be minus attack, so my defense is lower than normal. And this Raticate has Sucker Punch, so it will always attack first as long as I'm using an attacking move. And Cubone went for Headbutt there. If Cubone uses Boomerang, 2 Boomerangs will take out this Raticate always. But a lot of times Cubone decides not to use Boomerang and just uses Headbutt instead, or Focus Energy.
Yeah, this is not a great situation.
No. And Cubone used Focus Energy there. So I am back at 6 HP.
And Cubone Focus Energy.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
No help at all from Cubone. Yeah, no run of Let's Go is alive until you make it through. Okay, I'm dead. Wonderful. Yeah, no Let's Go Run is alive until you make it through Archer. We don't even
That's
worry
fine,
about our time.
because You can you get a free heal after this fight, so just gotta struggle through with the rest of your party.
Yeah, I'm gonna revive Starmie here to try to make sure it gets a little bit of experience out of these fights. Because that'll make it more likely that it hits level 50 by the time we need to use it. Okay, Eradicate is gone.
It only took Hugo on like 4 turns, but it's finally gone.
Yeah, so this fight can go as well as like 3 turns, or it can do this. A standard normal fight is 4 turns. Why would you headbutt a Weezing?
Marathon RNG.
The worst.
There's just so much that happens in this fight that is completely out of your control. Like, all you have to do is sit there and spam psychics with Starmie pretty much and watch things happen around you. Like, there's really nothing you can do to make this fight any better.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating. Oh, Weezing protected. Why are you still using Headbutt? We're almost through. Okay, we've made it. Hey, Starmie grew to level 46. Good job, Bergie. Yeah, the 3-turn fight is really rare, but you really want a 4-turn fight. That's kind of the standard okay fight. 5 turns is still fine, but it's pushing it. It's frustrating because it's completely uncontrollable what happens. You can't really... The fight will either go really well or it won't. And when it doesn't go well, you just lose a ton of time.
Yeah, like, he kept getting double-teamed with those sucker punches and dark pulses. Alternatively, the Eradicate could sucker punch the Cubone instead. The Weezing could use Protect. Just, like, really, anything else could happen and it would have been better than what just happened to that
Yeah.
Starmie.
My Let's Go Eevee PB loses, I think, a minute and a half to that fight. Which is why my Eevee PB is like 3 minutes slower than my Pikachu one. One of the reasons, at least. The other reason is that Pikachu is a better game. One thing I could talk about really briefly is these teleporters. If you enter, or if you walk onto a teleporter from a 90-degree angle, then your character will walk into it instantly. And I think 45-degree angles work also, but that's really hard to set up. So if you don't, or if you walk into that, or walk into a teleporter from that angle, your character will just walk immediately right onto the teleporter, and then they will turn to face downwards, and then they'll teleport. If you don't walk onto it from a perfect angle, your character will instead stop themselves, readjust their position, and it takes like 2 seconds and it's really slow. So you really want to be careful when you walk onto teleporters. That actually makes a pretty big difference in movement because Sabrina's gym has a lot of teleporters in it. It makes a surprisingly large difference over the course of the run. That was a crit Thunderbolt. This game is really not being kind to Starmie. Bergie's having a rough go. I'll walk onto, or when I leave here, if I remember to, I'll walk onto the teleporter badly. The other thing that means, because our character always turns to face down, we always want to walk onto teleporters from above if we can. There's not too many situations where that's relevant. There's only really one teleporter where it's an option. But little things like that do make a difference in movement. Alright, so here's Giovanni again. Giovanni's a bit more of a pushover this time, compared to the last fight. I guess he was kind of a pushover last time, but we were underleveled comparatively. This time, we're much more evenly matched since we just got this Starmie from Route 21. We're actually like 7 levels higher. I didn't realize Persian was so low leveled. Persian's going to use Fake Out turn 1, so we're just going to set up an X special attack to raise our special attack and then Scald a few times. That Persian does have a chance to be faster than you, but our Starmie is luckily pretty fast. Alright, and then after this, we're going to get one of the more useful items in the game right now. Maybe not useful for speedruns necessarily, but in Pokemon games, when you save the Silphco president, he likes to reward you. And gives you a Master Ball. This is actually, in most games you can skip this. In this game you can't skip this. If you walk out, the president will yell at you and tell you to come back.
He's like, you have to take this.
Yeah. Alright, I'm going to walk into this teleporter poorly just to show it off. See how we kind of stop and have to rotate and make our way on kind of slowly. So we're going to do just a bit of cleanup here, pick up a couple extra things. There's, on the 7th floor, just like in the original games, on the 7th floor, you can get a Lapras. It's in a slightly different location, and you have to wait until you actually save the president. But in the room with the Lapras is a rare candy, which is always useful. These gift Pokemon are pretty much always faster catches to get than actually catching a Pokemon, so we try to route them all into the route if we can.
Yay, Lapras.
Yeah, there you go. Unfortunately, I can't use it on a gym fight for you. It's only level 34, so...
That's okay, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, it's always part of the run, at least. If we counted everything right, I should already be at 50 Pokemon, but I'm going to pick up this free Porygon anyway. Just to be extra safe.
You shouldn't need it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't need it. I think you're right. But
Yeah, if I count it correctly, you don't need it.
You've been paying attention.
That's good. This Porygon is actually, I think, the fastest Pokemon in the game to get.
Yeah.
We do need to come down here anyway, because in this route, we need to get the Psychic TM. This isn't important in any percent because Starmie comes with Psychic, but we need it for an extra Pokemon here. So we're just going to make sure we pick it up. Then we're going to do our last bit of shopping. Where am I going? I'm just going to pick up all the X items we need for the rest of the game. Just 11 of these and 11 of these and 31 X special attacks. That's not 31.
Buys 11 of a lot of items because you can just press right to scroll from 1 to 11. Usually doesn't need all 11. It's just faster to menu to them, and you have a lot of money here, so it's not really an issue to buy extras.
Yeah, it works out really nicely. I'm going to skip full heals as well, since I have a lot of extra, or I still have my 2 full heals from earlier. Alright, so right here, this is actually a pretty big menu. We're going to move Raticate to slot 1. We're going to be using Raticate on Sabrina here. I'm going to swap some items around, and then we're going to swap those. That should be enough. We're going to swap our X items around too, so that our menus are a lot easier to get to later. We want X attacks and X special attacks and X speeds at the back of the menu, because we can just, or because we want to make fewer inputs to get to them. I said no. So
Actually, I don't want to fight Sabrina.
yeah, I forget Sabrina. This guy asks you to show a Pokemon that's level 45 so you can go into the gym. You can mash B and just leave if you want to. You can actually do that for the cute Pokemon thing too. You could just tell her you don't have any cute Pokemon.
Yeah.
But we do want to fight Sabrina. Sabrina's an interesting fight. Raticate is one of the newer additions to the route. For a long time we used the Alola Muck on this fight because it's a dark type and Psychic doesn't affect dark. So it seemed like a natural fit for Sabrina. The biggest issues with Alola Muck were that Mr. Mime always uses Double Slap on it. Well, Mr. Mime leads with Reflect, which increases the defense of everything by basically makes everything twice as strong defensively. So we have to kind of wait for that to stall out. And Mr. Mime will use Double Slap, which hits anywhere from 2 to 5 times every turn, and it's really slow and annoying. And if you don't wait out the Reflect, Slowbro comes in, it doesn't die to Alola Muck with Reflect down, or with Reflect up, and then it uses Yawn, which puts us to sleep in 2 turns. So then when that happens, we wake up on Jinx, and then Jinx freezes us with Ice Punch. Or at least that's what happened to me all the time. So we're going to use Raticate instead here. We're going to set up an X Special Defense turn 1, because Mr. Mime's going to spam Psychic at us, and we want to be more bulky. And then Mr. Mime used Reflect, as expected. We're going to set up 3 X attacks here to get to +6 attack, which is the maximum. Then Reflect lasts for exactly 5 turns, so we're going to use a Hyper Potion on the last turn of Reflect. And now Reflect is gone, and we can use Crunch to take out the Mr. Mime. This Raticate is also the reason we need Mild Nature, because this Slowbro is extremely bulky, and Raticate's best move is Double Edge, which is a 120 base power normal move, but it only takes out the Slowbro if you have at least neutral attack. It also does 52 recoil damage, which is really scary, but it's fine. Raticate also has a chance to be slower than this Jinx. Our Raticate is not slower than this Jinx, so we can just use Crunch to take it out. But normally you'd have to X Speed and Super or Hyper Potion. The Jinx has Lovely Kiss, which puts you to sleep 75% of the time. So we can't use Sucker Punch. But we can use Sucker Punch on this Alakazam. Alakazam is faster than this. Sucker Punch, how it works is it goes first, but it only hits if your opponent chooses an attacking move. So we can't use it on Jinx because Jinx has Lovely Kiss, which is not an attacking move. It just puts you to sleep. The only 2 moves that Alakazam has are Psychic and Nightshade, so it always attacks you. Anyway, there's a lot going on in that fight, but Raticate works just perfectly for it, somehow. Okay, we do not want Spike Cannon.
Quick reminder that Mid-Spring Speedfling 2021 is raising funds for Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, which provides financial assistance to all types of career musicians who are struggling to make ends meet. And every little bit helps. Plenty of incentives for you to put your money toward as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things going on later. So please get your money in for it. There's a lot of good for this. Alright, this is a really long menu, so I'm gonna be quiet for a bit here. Did I just get rid of... Okay. We're gonna use our last rare candy here on Magikarp, because Magikarp hasn't evolved yet. We're getting to Koga now, so... we need to have our 50 Pokemon. We should have 51 here, but it's still important. And then I'm gonna teach a lot of TMs, and I'll let someone else take over during this, just so I can make sure I get everything.
There's a lot of complicated party management, especially with like this little section of the run. Because you're trying to make sure everything is evolved, everything is at the proper level it needs to be, everything is learning the right moves it needs. Because a lot of Pokemon don't come with the necessary moveset to get through this run. This Haunter needs Psychic. It's already lower level, like quite a bit lower level than the gym it's gonna fight. So if it doesn't have Psychic, it just does not work.
That should be it. This run was a little bit weird since I already taught Scald and Thunderbolt to start me. Usually we would delay that until that menu, just because we don't need them any earlier. We usually just use Bubble Beam. But this Starmie had low special attack, so I taught Scald earlier, and we were already in the menu to teach Flareon Fire Blast, so I just taught Thunderbolt then. So that menu was actually a lot smaller than I remembered it being. Anyway, since there's no Safari Zone, Jesse and James give you the gold teeth here by digging it up and just handing it to you. That's the last time we're going to see Jesse and James in their own. We've already fought them every time we can. But the gold teeth is how we're going to get the Strength HM later on. Yeah, okay. 51 Pokemon. So 51 is a little bit higher than winning, but it's fine. In general, every extra catch you do costs you about probably 35 to 40 seconds. There are a few that are faster and a few that are slower, but that's a good rule of thumb for Let's Go timing. This is one of those games where your splits are really weird and hard to keep track of because you have different numbers of Pokemons all the time. The gimmick of Koga's gym is that everything in the entire gym has the move Protect. And Protect just protects you from a move for one turn. This gym is really annoying to fight through because of that.
It's one of those things that they added to Pokemon, not because it's useful in any way for the player, but it's just there to annoy you.
Yeah, I know competitive players use it, but like, who's playing competitive in Let's Go realistically? Yeah, so this gym, ideally we want to lose at most a couple turns to protect, but sometimes it doesn't go that nicely. Alright, so we taught Haunter Psychic just a minute ago. We are going to use Haunter for this gym. Koga leads with a Weezing. And this Haunter is like the perfect anti-Weezing Pokemon. This Weezing has Toxic, which doesn't affect Haunter because it's a poison type. It has Explosion, which doesn't affect Haunter because it's a ghost type. It has Protect, because everything has Protect. And then it has Sludge Bomb. And since Haunter is a ghost poison type, it 4 times resists Sludge Bomb. So we can just set up basically as much as we want on this Weezing for free, essentially.
Yeah, it's lower level, but just because there's nothing the Weezing can really do, or any Pokemon can really do to hurt it very much, it works out pretty nicely.
Yeah, so we just set up 3x special attacks to get to +6, and then we use Psychic on everything after it protects. We also use X speed. A couple of these Pokemon are faster than level 34 Haunter, but just a single X speed deals with that. So it doesn't really matter that Haunter is 10 levels lower than everything in the gym. And then, just like that, our boss rush is we've pretty much got back to normal gameplay now. Koga is always the last gym we want to fight because we want as much time as possible to get to 50 Pokemon. Well, the last gym before Giovanni, at least. And we have made it now.
The original Baton Pass route burned our Starmie on this fight,
Oh.
and it's pretty convenient that we realize Haunter works because Starmie, like realistically, Starmie is like good for any fight you want to throw it at. So ideally, you want to throw it on the toughest fight in the game. So making it so that Haunter worked for this fight was pretty nice to free star me up for a harder fight.
Yeah, especially since we still want to use our star meat all the way through, like on other fights throughout the game. So it's really nice that we just have that party space dedicated to a Pokemon that we're still going to use later. Because one thing that you might have noticed is that, other than Rapidash, which we're riding the entire way because it's fast, pretty much every Pokemon, the moment we use it on a gym fight, we remove it from the party and then never use it again. Starmie, we don't want to do that because Starmie is the fastest way through a lot of fights in this game. Oops. So we're going to move Bergie back to the front here. We're going to use a Max Repel. And then we're going to fly to Viridian City. So right here, we have about 3 minutes of cutscenes coming up that we can't skip. So if there's anything you want to say, Helix?
I sadly don't have any donations, which I think y'all should fix that. But I will shout out 2DCon. This is one of the conventions we partner with. 2DCon runs in August. That is where Midwest Speed Fest originated, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that in-person events are safe by then, so we can have Midwest Speed Fest 2021 in person at 2DCon 2021 in Minneapolis. Shout out to VGMCon as well. We are partnered with them for this very marathon. They are helping us raise funds for Sweet Relief. They have their own stream going on all weekend, not including overnights like we are, but they are live all day, tomorrow and Sunday, with some incredible music. Twitch.tv/VGMCon.
One more cutscene to get through here before we can get back to the game. We did turn on skip movies at the start of the run, and I have been skipping a couple movies along the way, but Let's Go considers anything that you have to mash text on to not be a movie. Sword and Shield works the same way, so all the Switch games kind of adopted that technique. So occasionally you still have these really long 2 or 3 minute sections that don't technically count as movies, so you can't skip them. But there's still no actual gameplay going on, it's just mashing. So we're close to having actual good cutscene skipping in this game. Yeah, Giovanni's gym is really nice for Starmie. Starmie deals with pretty much everything in the gym really well. We have this Nidorino, which is a poison type, so it's weak to Psychic. There's a lot of rock and ground types around, so they're all weak to Scald. Bergie is getting to level 47. That is one difference as well. In a normal run, or in a normal 80% run, Starmie would be level 49 right now. But because we're not dumping a bunch of rare candies into it, it's only level 47. And because we're not using it on every fight, so it's not getting the same amount of experience it normally would. So that means that there are a few options that are no longer available to us. So this next fight I'm going to call the second controller for. In a normal 80% run, at least if you're going for top level times, you would just use Hydro Pump on this Nidoking. And because you're level 49, at least it works out almost all the time. This level 47 Starmie, on the other hand, doesn't really have a strong enough stat or attack or special attack stat to be able to use Hydro Pump on the Nidoking, so we have to use 2 controllers and give it a little bit of power boost, which is okay. That's a strategy we recommend to a lot of newer runners to the game anyway, just using Scald and X special attack here. It is slower, but losing runs to Hydro Pump 3 hours in, especially when you're starting out, really kind of sucks.
When it really doesn't save that much time anyways.
Yeah. It's like a 10-second time loss for something that will kill your run 3 hours in. At top level, it probably matters, but until you get there, there are better ways to lose runs. So yeah, Bergie here deals with this gym very, very well. But we're not going to use Bergie for Giovanni. Instead... Okay. I see why my party looks sparse. Dodrio's not here.
You can save.
Yes, I will save.
I wanted to remind you after what happened to me earlier.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is Giovanni. We used to use Golduck on this fight. Golduck is really bad at this fight. I think it needed 7 turns of setup. It comes with Surf, which is really cool, and it sounds good, and it's a water type. But you need really high special attack, and you need to boost your speed. And this Doug Trio has Earthquake, which hits Golduck very hard.
Yeah, Golduck's defense is not good.
Yeah. So we use Gyarados here, everyone's favorite special attacker. Because Dugtrio can't use Earthquake on us, so we can just set up our X special attacks. Dugtrio will either go for Slash or Sucker Punch. Slash is a high crit ratio move, so it can do a lot of damage. But Sucker Punch only works if we're using an attacking move, so... Ideally it just does that a bunch, and then... I used Splash.
It's hard to keep track of, like, where all the moves are, because... You gotta memorize the movesets of, 13 different Pokemon.
Yeah, we're using a lot of Pokemon we don't normally use, so... Like, we try to make it convenient. Like, I taught Psychic in slot 1 for Haunter, because that's the move we're using, but... Gyarados only had 3 moves to start with, because it just evolved from a Magikarp, so... Skull just automatically goes into slot 4, and... Like Curvis said, it's hard to remember the move slots of 13, 14 different Pokemon. Especially when you're not actively thinking about it.
And especially when some of those Pokemon have the same moves that you're using, so, Scald will be in slot 1 for Starmie, but slot 4 for Gyarados, so it's easy to just think, Scald, that's in slot 1.
Yeah.
That's why I make sure to, like in normal any % runs, both Pikachu and Starmie use Thunderbolt. I make sure to teach both of them in slot 4 so that I don't ever get confused that way.
Yeah, I do the same thing in any %. I teach Baton, or in Baton Pass, I teach Thunderbolt in slot 2 for Starmie, because it's technically 1 input faster. It's probably not a good idea for my muscle memory, because I use Thunderbolt in slot 4 on Starmie in any %, and just on Pikachu as well. But I'm stubborn. And I'm sure that 1 input really, really matters for my time. That's the same thing in Let's Go Eevee, where recently we switched the route to teach 2 moves in different slots to save 1 input over the entire run. I should not have called out the second controller there. Well, I'll show this mechanic off. If you run away from your second player, the game stops and the second player teleports to you to catch up. Which is interesting, I guess. Anyway, we're going to put Bergie back in the front here.
Yeah. They didn't want some 8-year-old kid to hop on his Rapidash and run away from his friend and make him cry.
Exactly. You don't want to break any friendships over Let's Go. Of all games. Okay, this fight we have to take 1 extra turn of setup compared to any % just because Starmie is slightly weaker. This Pidgeotto has Sand Attack, so we might have to use an X accuracy depending on what it does here. But we're gonna dump 2 X special attacks into Starmie. And it used Sand Attack, but it was into Rapidash, so it doesn't actually matter, so we're just gonna X Speed. Yeah, we don't care if Rapidash can't hit. Okay, never mind. It's still faster than me. That's another mechanic I forget sometimes. In Sword and Shield, if you use an X item with a partner Pokemon, or if you use an X speed with your partner Pokemon, the speed change works immediately. In Let's Go, the speed change doesn't take effect until the turn after. Speed is the only stat that's affected this way, too. So, like, using that X special attack on this turn, it immediately boosts our Starmie special attack, but using an X speed waits a turn. It's an interesting mechanic. I don't know if it's a good mechanic, but...
Yeah, by interesting you mean bad.
Yeah, they fixed it in Sword and Shield, at least. It only took them 7 generations of Pokemon. 6 generations of double battles to get that right. Another thing I don't know if we talked about, but in more recent games of Pokemon, like this one, when you get experience from a battle or from catching things, your entire party also gains that experience, or also gains experience. They don't gain as much experience as the Pokemon that are out in battle, but they still get some. So
Yeah, they get half if they're not in the battle.
yeah, so that's why
But
we're getting.
catching Pokemon, they all get the same.
Yeah, exactly. So catching Pokemon is very strong. So that's why you see just random Pokemon leveling up throughout the game as we go through battles. It's really useful for us because we do get... It makes a lot of these later fights a little bit more consistent.
So we do actually have one more catch to do.
Yeah.
The way we made this route, we tried to fit all of the Pokemon we use into the 50 required to enter Koga's gym, but there's one that's just too tempting here to use. It's just too good that we're willing to waste the time to get it without it counting towards the 50. Just gonna catch it in this next patch of grass.
Yeah, I'm actually going to use my Super Lure right now. We have a Repel up. No, I'm just going to use a normal Lure. But we've got one really good Pokemon still to come. There's a Magikarp again. Here it is. I always bring out the second controller here. You remember that Master Ball we got in Silph.Co? Here we go. This is the ultimate Pokemon to use a Master Ball on, really. Execute.
It's a pretty tough catch.
With Great Balls, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like unironically.
Can you two controller catch with a Master Ball? I didn't try it there.
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think I've tried it before.
Because that bonus experience sounds really tempting. Alright. Anyway, I'm going to put up a Max Repel for the rest of this. So that is the last Pokemon we'll see wild. So no shinies today, sadly.
And there is conveniently a Leaf Stone in Victory Road here that you can pick up. It's a little bit out of the way, but...
It's less out of the way than buying a Leaf Stone.
yeah.
Because to buy a Leaf Stone, you have to go to the 4th floor of the Celadon Mart, and that's a bit of a mess. You have to use elevators because it's not fast enough to walk up and down the stairs. This is the part I'm really scared of. Because it would be very embarrassing if I got the wrong item here. Please be the Leaf Stone. Okay. I'm good. I didn't actually...
Also-
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Executor is my favorite Pokemon we use because you use it on a fight where you wouldn't think it would be good.
Yeah. I really like Executor's presence in the route.
It was kind of a desperation idea, but it actually turned out to work really well.
It's by far the fastest thing we've come up with so far.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to go through a few more fights. This is another fight that's really dangerous in any percent if you go for anything risky. Because we generally try to use Hydro Pump on this Kangaskhan, and if you fight with one controller, then Kangaskhan will kill you if you miss.
Yeah, and Hydro Pump's only 80% accurate, and even pretty good Starmies are not guaranteed to one-shot it if the Hydro Pump hits. So it's a risky fight.
It's another one of those fights that saves like 10 seconds. But once again, our Starmie is low level here, so we don't have to make that difficult decision. And it's a marathon anyway, so I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to quickly move through Victory Road here. This is a bit of a change from the Victory Roads in the original games, both Red, Blue, Yellow, and Fire, Red, Leaf, Green. In those Victory Roads, you can avoid every single trainer. So you don't really have to worry about doing any of the fights. In this game, we do have to fight everyone. Or, not everyone, but we have to fight 3 or 4 different trainers. Is it? Yeah, okay, 4 fights. I don't think this Starmie has 124 special attack, does it?
I doubt it.
Yeah, this Starmie wasn't super good.
It was like 110 and 45. 110 or 111.
Ooh, that was a nice crit. Yeah, so we generally try to use Thunderbolt where we can and not Scald. Scald has a 30% chance to burn anything. Or burn the other Pokemon. And burn is really slow in this game. We didn't really talk about it because it didn't come up, but if you inflict a status effect on either the opponent's Pokemon or your own, the game lags like crazy for some reason.
It doesn't... I don't even want to call it lag. It just does this weird thing where, like, if you pay attention during the battles, the camera, like, just changes every so often. And some of those camera changes take longer than others. And for whatever reason, when there's a status condition inflicted on any Pokemon in the fight, it waits until the next camera change to, like, continue the fight.
Yeah, it's really weird. We picked up a free heal from Officer Jenny over there, by the way. That's very convenient because we had 0 Psychics left. And Psychic is Starmie's strongest move, so. And we are coming up on a trainer named Alexa. She is guarding the pathway to the end of Victory Road. And we're going to hopefully scoot on by her. Because like every other trainer in the game, she has very, very short vision. So if we move into this corner and get off Rapidash, we can do this and just scoot around her. And she can't see us.
And she's a nice one to skip because she has some pretty strong Pokemon.
Yeah, she has a Dragonair, a Hitmonchan, and a Wigglytuff. Starmie doesn't always take them out at +2. So that could be a very, very difficult fight. That is also the fight. So the Switch recently added the feature to change your controls. Pretty much every single Let's Go runner has turned off the stick click. I've been put to sleep twice by this jinx. Yeah, so if you actually click in your joystick, that counts as an A press in this game. So one of the most...
People nervously accidentally press down on their stick too hard as they're trying to do that trainer skip and talk to her instead. It's not good.
Yeah. So that's why we always try to recommend to turn your stick click off. Just entirely.
The other reason to do that is because whenever you're riding on a Pokemon, if you accidentally click your stick and press A, you will just talk to the Pokemon that you're riding on, and it wastes like... feels like a really long time. It's probably like 3 seconds or something.
Here, I can show that off here. They have different animations too, so this one just Rapidash is happy. It's not going to do anything. Sometimes it will move around and like look in different directions. It's just a nightmare. Anyway, we're going to solve this puzzle right here. It's not much of a puzzle, we're just pushing a block in a straight line.
They made some really questionable quality of life decisions in this game, and you have to press A every time you push this boulder instead of just running into it like you do in pretty much every other Pokemon game.
There's also this really fun thing where you keep getting on and off Rapidash if you have enough room every time you push the boulder. Alright, so I'm going to do a bit of menuing here before this next trainer. This fight is not very good with the Starmie with not good special attack. So we're going to bring in our good friend Execute.
Yeah, not only does our Execute get to take on the first member of the Elite Four, but gets to shine in this last fight of Victory Road as well.
Yep. And we have 47 speed. That is pretty slow. I haven't talked that much about it, but I do check the stats on Pokemon sometimes just to see if I can skip extra X items. We don't get to here. I forgot something. I need to go back and get it. We're going to do that really quick. I forgot we're using Amistar.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you need Blizzard.
Blizzard.
I need Blizzard, yeah.
You can go back after the fight, right?
I'm going to go back now, I think. I think it's better
So you
to...
can push the boulder up on the other floor.
That puts you on the wrong side of Alexa, doesn't it?
I don't think you have to pass Alexa.
Oh, well...
Oh, this is fast enough anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about this. We don't usually pick up Blizzard, but since I got the Helix Fossil earlier, we desperately need Blizzard. That's going to be one of Amistar's best attacks. I'm glad I remembered that. That would have been very unfortunate to figure out in the middle of the Elite Four.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, you could have just thrown Starmie in there.
Yeah. That would have been a good reason to go catch Moltres. Alright, so Executor doesn't always take out this Licky Tongue, but Starmie with the special attack we had also was not going to take out the Licky Tongue, so... It ends up being about even to choose between Executor and Starmie on this fight. Both the Onyx and the, Ooh, okay. Maybe Starmie is better, just so we don't get flinched here. But both the Onyx and the Blastoise can outspeed us. It's not that big of a deal. But still. Alright, and that is the last trainer of Victory Road. So we have 5 more fights left. I'm going to pick up the full restore here. You don't really need it with Alola Muck, but it's probably safer to have it.
Reminded that we have 3 bid wars with nothing donated toward them yet, so if you want your choice of track color and roller coaster tycoon, game language for Uno, or a theme choice for Uno, $1 could potentially get you that.
I'm still rooting for Groovy. I want the Groovy Uno. I'm actually really curious what those sound like. Because it's Game Boy Color Uno, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, good point, actually.
There is some very cool sound effects that you can get out of Game Boy Color games. Okay, so we have... I don't know why I went that way to go to save, but we have 5 fights left. I'm going to save for every one of these because they're all slightly dangerous in their own way. This one's not too bad. Lorelei is the ice type trainer. Oh yeah, go ahead.
This one's not if you heal on the correct turns, but all the other ones are at least slightly risky.
Yeah, so Lorelai's the Ice-type trainer, so you would think a Grass-type like Executor wouldn't be good. But it actually works out really nicely. So we're going to X-Defend.
Yeah, this Dugong is going to use... What's the move called? Ice Shard? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not a very strong move. Like, it's super effective, but it's really not a strong move at all. It has pretty low base power. So
Yeah.
it allows you to set up a lot without having to heal.
Yeah, I'm going to play this super safe. A critical hit Ice Shard should do around like 70 damage or something. 75, 80.
Yeah, I think 80 something at the most.
Okay, never mind. It does more than 80.
Oh, okay. Well,
Good thing I
we
saved.
both look like clowns.
We were the primary people who routed this category. Just so everyone is clear on that. So we know a lot about the amount of damage that moves do and how safe fights are, and
At least we think we do.
so anyway, this is Lorelai. She's an ice trainer.
You wouldn't think Ice moves or Ice Trainer is good with the grass type Pokemon.
Yeah, but this fight is actually really safe and not dangerous at all. Another thing that we should actually mention, this Executor is pretty slow, so we need 2x speeds to outspeed the Jinx. Sometimes you can get away with just 1, but you do not want to ever be slower than Jinx because it switches off between Blizzard and Lonely Kiss, or Lovely Kiss, and Lovely Kiss puts you to sleep and then Blizzard freezes you.
More likely kills you, but yeah.
Yeah. More like, you're right. It usually just kills you. So we try to avoid setting up on Jinx as much as we can. Alright, so I know that 84 health is not safe, but if I heal every time I have 84 health, we're never going to get through this fight.
Never end.
Yeah. So we're just going to use one more X special attack. Ice Shard is like quick attack, it's a priority move. So it only has 40 base power, but we can't attack even with the X speed. We're still slower than this Dugong. However, now that we're done setting up, and I'm pretty sure we were out of crit range there. The fight is now completely safe. We will outspeed this Jinx, since I used 2x speeds. And we can just Mega Drain through everything. Yeah, this fight is really hard to find a good Pokemon to use. I know Gym Freak tested Tangela.
Yeah, Tangela kind of works, but it's not great. And Tangela is also not very common of a spawn.
Yeah, it's hard to catch too.
Yeah.
And I think it needed more rare candies. Which Executor doesn't need any rare candies, which is really nice.
Like, all the Pokemon that are good at fighting Lorelei are just a lot better used elsewhere.
Yeah, like we could use Starmie on this fight, but we don't want to waste Starmie.
Yeah, not a good fight to waste Starmie on.
Or you could use Kabutops or something, but you don't want to waste Kabutops either. Although Kabutops is typically used on the fight that's one of the harder ones to actually figure out something for.
Like, electric Pokemon would be pretty good for this fight, but there's not that many of them that you run into without going really far out of the way.
Whoops, I did not mean to ride Executor. Anyway, we're going to deposit Pokemon as we use them now. And the main reason for that is that when the Hall of Fame, first of all, we don't want them to gain levels. And then when the Hall of Fame sequence plays later, we only want to have one Pokemon in our party. So that it kind of moves through a little bit quicker.
I'm seeing $1 from Greta Ice Vixen, since we're all curious about Groovy.
Oh, there we go. I'm fully on Team Groovy here.
I have to know.
Alright, so you would think that Onyx is dangerous for, I shouldn't be fighting. You would think Onyx is dangerous for Dodrio. But this Onyx doesn't have any rock moves, so Dodrio could set up pretty freely here. Its only move to hit us with is Iron Tail, which is a nice move, but it only has 75 accuracy. It does have a chance to lower our defense. I set up an X defense at the start of the fight just to be safe, and it did lower our defense right there. But it's usually not needed. Dodrio seems like a weird choice for Bruno, but because Onyx is free to set up on, it ends up being nicely. And Dodrio happens to come with Jump Kick, which is a fighting move, so it can hit Onyx anyway.
Everything else is this drill pack is super effective against the rest of his team.
Yeah, so Dodrio works weirdly well here. It's not even super high level either. Like, our Dodrio is 10 levels under leveled. Dodrio also has Agility and Swords Dance in its starting moveset, so you don't have to use X items either to set it up. Agility gives us +2 speed, and then Swords Dance has +2 attack. There's actually a pretty good chance that Dodrio didn't mean to use Agility, but we never see its speed throughout the game, so it's not worth risking it.
Yeah.
And this Dodrio is really slow, so it's a good thing I did use Agility. The Hitmonlee has a 111 speed, so that's your benchmark. And we only have 105 right now, so. I've looked really hard for a way to check Dodrio speed, but there's nothing really convenient, sadly. And you don't want to go into a menu just to do that. It's faster to just use Agility. Okay, so this fight right here, we are using a Alola Muck. This is not the optimal way to do this fight. The optimal Pokemon for this fight is Magmar. Greta, would you like to talk about why we're not using Magmar for this fight today in the marathon?
Well, you see, so earlier I decided to do a Baton Pass run so I could be better prepared for this, right? And I used Magmar because that's what it told me to do. And then I died like 10 times, and I didn't want to do it anymore. It's very unsafe, is what I learned. And so we're gonna do something that is not that.
Yeah, this fight with Magmar is super, super dangerous.
Aw.
But if it works, it's fast.
Yeah, it's about 45 seconds faster than Alola Muck. Alola Muck's a cooler Pokemon too, so.
True.
Yeah, anyway, like I said, I probably didn't need to pick up the full restore here. This is the fight we use the full restore on because this Arbok likes to use Glare. But usually you don't take enough damage and you can just use one of your full heal items to get rid of your paralysis. Arbok can't really hit you very hard. It only has a poison move and a dark move. And Muck resists both of these, so we barely take any damage on this fight. The one reason the full heal might be good is that we can't take out this Wheezing in one hit, so it usually gets a Thunderbolt on against us. We use Bite to try to flinch it, but Thunderbolt does have a 10% chance to paralyze us.
If you're paralyzed, it cuts your speed in half.
Yeah, and we need to be faster than these Gengars specifically, and the Golbat, I guess. We want to be faster than everything. There's a very, very, very small chance that our Muck has minus speed and really bad speed IV, and will be slower than this last Gengar that's going to come out in a couple turns. But this is pretty reasonable. 66 speed is good enough. You need like 50 speed to underspeed the Gengar, or 51, I think. Alright, and then we're going to use a slightly more powerful move on this Golbat. You need Crunch to take it out. Bite isn't good enough. Yeah, Magmar's strategy is to you just teach Magmar Psychic and then you use Psychic 5 times, but you need to set up a couple X special attacks and X speed. You're taking a lot of damage from the Arbok. If it crits you, you die. A lot can go wrong. You need a couple X defenses for it to set up safely. Okay, so
Now it's time.
Amistar. The Helix Pokemon itself. So we're going to teach Blizzard here. I need to check my speed as well. I have 73 speed. I don't actually know what that means. Okay, I do know what it means now. This is what I have notes for. We do not want to communicate. I do technically have internet access on this account, so I could trade Amistar away for something good.
Yeah, trade it for a Kabutops.
Yeah. If anyone would like to give a Kabutops, I'll use the code Bulbasaur, Diglett. After their run. Okay, so we need to do a lot of setup to to get Amistar to work. Amistar is really slow compared to Kabutops, and it has it's using special attacks instead of physical attacks. So Kabutops works really well because it has Rock Slide. We're also leading with 2x special defenses because Seizure hits really hard with Hydro Pump. But we only have to outlast 3 Hydro Pumps. Anyway, yeah, Kabutops' main move is Rock Slide. Amistar's special or physical attack is really bad though, so we can't really use Rock Slide on this fight. And Seizure hit all 5 of its Hydro Pumps, but it's out now, so we're safe. Dragon Pulse barely does any damage, and it also has Hyper Beam, but that's not very useful. We're going to Hyper Potion one time here, and that should make us safe for the rest of the fight. There's a Hyper Beam, okay. I'm going to check really quickly here that we're at +6. Okay, we're good. Alright, so we're going to use Hydro Pump on the Seadra. Seadra does go down to 1 Hydro Pump, which is nice. Then we're also going to use Hydro Pump on the Aerodactyl.
And he used an X accuracy, so all these moves are guaranteed to hit.
Yeah, we don't want to be messing around with Hydro Pump and Blizzard, really. Those are the only 2 moves we're using on this fight. We would use a X accuracy on the Kabutops fight as well, because we have to hit 6 Rock Slides, and that has 90 accuracy. Dragonite gets completely destroyed by Blizzard. This Gyarados, because our special attack I think was 144, we have a chance to one-hit KO it, but it's not very high. Obviously we didn't. But luckily Lance doesn't heal for whatever reason, so we can just Blizzard it a second time. We go for Blizzard, first of all because Hydro Pump is not very effective, and it also gives us a 10% chance to freeze on the Gyarados. Although now that I'm thinking about it, we could Rock Slide for a 30% flinch chance.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about optimizing Amistar, to be honest. As cool as Amistar is... Yeah, the main problem with Amistar is we took, I think, 11 turns there to set up, including healing. And then we had to use an extra move on the fight. Kabutops also has to use an extra move on the fight, but it only has like 7 turns of setup, I think. I don't know why I just healed Amistar. We'll keep Amistar in the party for this final fight. We might as well. We'll let Amistar have its day in the Hall of Fame. So there's one last cutscene for us to skip there. You didn't see it, but it did happen. And then we can fight the champion with our best Pokemon. The Pokemon we've been trying to save the entire time and have used for many of the intermediate fights in the run.
Yeah, before when we burned our Starmie on Koga, we were using Moltres.
Yeah.
The champion fight.
Moltres.
It's quite a long detour to go catch.
And it's also not even any better than Starmie at dealing with it.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is a Mega Pidgeot. Mega Evolutions were introduced in X and Y, and they gave our rival a nice Mega Pidgeot here. So it's a much stronger Pidgeot than normal. It has Air Slash, and if it crits us, we die, basically. So I'm going to use a second X Special Defense here. Sometimes if you use 2x Special Defenses, it will lock itself into using Quick Attack if your defense is low enough, which is what's happening here. And the really nice thing about Quick Attack is that a crit Quick Attack will only do about 50 damage, whereas a crit Air Slash will kill you from full. So that just makes this fight a lot safer. It's technically not optimal. You really should only use 1x special defense, but the only reason this really works is because we have a minus defense nature as well. So it's a nice little side effect of that. Alright, so we set up 2x special attacks on the Pidgeot. We do want to set up one more here. The next Pokemon that comes out is Vileplume. It seems like it shouldn't be safe to set up on Vileplume, but the only grass move this Vileplume has is Solar Beam, and it pretty much always uses it. So we have one free turn. Yeah, and it did use Solar Beam there. And we are home free now. We've made it through.
It's a messy category, but a fun one.
Yeah, the routing works out really nicely. This game lends itself really, really well to just using alternate Pokemon. And just kind of messing around with different things. There's a small but really good alt main community where we've routed a bunch of Pokemon that are not Starmie. Alright, I should make sure I actually switch to Thunderbolt. Yeah, the community around Let's Go in general is just really good. And that is the champion. So we have just about a minute more of gameplay here, and then that will be it. Time is going to be when the screen fades to black after it says congrats champion in the Hall of Fame sequence.
After they show Amistar.
Yeah, it'll be after Amistar. since I kept Amistar around here. Alright, we're slightly over.
Fergie, the Starmie, and Amistar.
Yep, Bergie and Amistar are not quite optimal Helix Fossil. This wouldn't be a Pokemon run if it wasn't overestimate. I'm pretty sure that Kangaskhan alone is what put us overestimate on this run.
That's what my mind went back to immediately.
Yeah. Okay, time's at like 2 seconds. Right about now. And that's it. That's Pokemon Let's Go Baton Pass. We got to use our 16 or 17 Pokemon throughout. Like I said, the Switch speedrunning community for Pokemon is really nice community. All very happy to help you out if anyone wants to get started with this. I've had a lot of fun with it. Let's Go is a wonderful game for speedrunning too.
I've heard it's a good one for like beginners just because it's relatively easy. You're catching things is a big part of it, and that's a lot easier.
Yeah. There's not a lot of super complicated fight logic or anything. And yeah, like I said, the Switch speedrunning server is just really friendly. People are really willing to help out and just kind of all get together and play Pokemon together, really.
Alright, well, thank you very much, and also thank you to your commentators as well.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for all the help.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. I don't have anything else to say, I don't think.